Chapter 735. The moment the sound rang out, Charlotte's thread moved over. His left eye twitched slightly, and all the obstacles blocking his vision disappeared without a sound. The direction of the sound came from the staircase, which was empty. There was no one there. Suddenly, a black cat jumped out from behind a flower vase. Beside the vase, there was a broken branch of a green plant. It was a false alarm. The black cat disappeared from sight in the blink of an eye. But Charlotte's nerves were still tense, and he couldn't relax at all. On the ground beside the vase were the remnants of broken flower branches. The sound just now was from the black cat stepping on the vase, not someone. It was the noise. Even so, his nerves were still tense, and he couldn't relax at all. He looked at the watch on his wrist. The woman who called told him to leave in 60 seconds, and now 10 seconds had passed. Who was that woman? What kind of danger was she talking about? What level of danger was it? How'd she know he was here? How did she know he would be in danger? Should he leave? Or should he stay and kill Gu Qin according to his original plan? These questions were entangled in his mind, and he only had 30 seconds to make the right decision. He was unwilling to give up just like that. He had planned everything, and this was a rare opportunity. If he missed it, it would be very difficult to get rid of Gu Qin without getting into trouble. But if he didn't leave, and if he was really in danger, where could he buy medicine for regret? Charlotte's eyes moved to the pistol in Hattori Masao's hand. But at this moment, the light in the study suddenly went out. Not only the light in the study, but all the lights in the old villa went out. Rustle. A soft sound rushed into Charlotte's ears. Charlotte followed it to the door of the study. Rustle. The sound was approaching very soft, but in this quiet environment, it was very clear. However, the strange thing was Charlotte clearly heard the sound, and the darkness didn't affect his X-ray vision. But he couldn't see who was in the corridor outside the door. The strange noise stopped at the door of the study. A second later, Charlotte suddenly moved and rushed to the window as fast as he could. Bang! The door behind him was slammed open. Voila! Charlotte's body smashed through the window and fell to the ground along with the wooden and glass shards. The moment before his feet touched the ground, Charlotte bent his legs and leaned his center of gravity forward. His feet landed on the ground, and his body rolled forward, relieving most of the gravity. His body rolled on the ground, and his gaze shifted to the window on the second floor. A skinny figure suddenly appeared at the window. His face could not be seen, and his body was covered by a black robe. The gown resembled that of a priest and had a cap, which concealed her head as well as his face. What was even stranger was that his robe seemed to absorb light, so even with his extraordinary eyesight, he couldn't see his face. A skinny figure stood by the window. He was like a ghost from the dark world. He could be seen, but he was not real. Charlotte's body stopped rolling. The man in the black robe flickered for a moment before disappearing. Charlotte's left eye pierced through the wall, but he actually lost sight of him. Who was he? Charlotte's back was cold, and his forehead was covered in cold sweat. There were many wounds on his body from the glass shards, but he didn't feel any pain at all. Although he didn't want to admit it, fear had truly taken over his body. Boss, what happened? Amanda's voice came, full of nervousness. Charlotte moved quickly as he said, "Do you see the man in the black robe? If you see him, shoot him." "Where is the man in the black robe?" Amanda's voice was full of surprise and nervousness. Charlotte's heart instantly sank. He was sure that the man in the black robe had just appeared at the window. Amanda was the sniper who wanted to kill Gu Qin. Her line of sight should have always been in this direction. How could she not see the man in the black robe? He suddenly remembered the scene outside the door in the study. Oh, the man in the black robe was clearly outside the door, but he didn't see anything either. Could it be that the man in the black robe really didn't exist? Was it just an illusion? But how was that possible? While moving quickly, Charlotte couldn't help but look back again. At this moment, the man in the black robe quietly appeared at the door of the living room on the first floor. He still couldn't see his face. The hood didn't seem to cover a face, but a part of the blackboard. "Do you see him?" Charlotte roared. "Shoot him. Boss, you." Amanda's voice was full of confusion and doubt. Charlotte suddenly stopped and looked back at the man in the black robe. "Boss, what happened? What are you doing?" Gu Qin is almost here. Amanda's voice was filled with anxiety. Charlotte didn't seem to hear her voice. His eyes were locked on the man in the black robe. He was very sure that the man in the black robe was at the door of the living room on the first floor. He saw it clearly, but Amanda didn't see him. The man in the black robe suddenly moved. He rushed out of the door, but then retreated. What was going on? Charlotte subconsciously looked up at the sky above his head and then at the streetlights above his head. The night sky was clear tonight. The moon and stars were clearly visible. The streetlights above his head were also very bright. Many moths were flying around the streetlights, casting a lot of moving shadows on the ground. Is he afraid of light? Charlotte suddenly had such a thought. The man in the black robe stood at the door and didn't move. He couldn't see his eyes, but he definitely had eyes. His gaze was locked on Charlotte, and his eyes must be very cold. "Boss!" Amanda's voice came. "The CIB car is here. Why are you still standing there? Are we still going with the original plan?" Charlotte finally came back to his senses. He moved backward and said as he walked, "Abandon the plan and retreat." "Abandon? Abandon, retreat," Charlotte repeated. His eyes were still locked on the man in the black robe. "Roger." Amanda ended the call. While he was talking to Amanda, the man in the black robe tried to rush out of the door again, but he retreated again. This discovery made Charlotte even more suspicious that he was afraid of light. Why would he be afraid of light? Who in this world is afraid of light? Charlotte thought of a skin disease similar to sunlight flare and then thought of vampires. The possibility of the former was almost zero because it was night and the man was wearing a black robe that covered him from head to toe. Even if he had a skin disease like sunlight flare, he shouldn't be afraid of moonlight and streetlights, right? The latter was even more unreliable. How could there be vampires in this world? A 7-seater Ford Explorer suddenly drove over and stopped next to Charlotte. The door opened, and Pu Taiyong poked his head out of the window. "Boss, get in." Only then did Xia Lei stop retreating. He turned around and got into the car. Pu Taiyong put the car in gear and left without stopping for a second. Charlotte looked at the old mansion through the window. The man in the black robe was still standing at the door. He couldn't see the man's face, but he felt that the man in the black robe was staring at him. The man in the black robe raised his hand and slowly drew it across his neck. This was a gesture to kill. After making this gesture, the man in the black robe disappeared at the door. Charlotte's mind quickly replayed all the details of his encounter with the man in the black robe, but he still didn't understand how the man in the black robe had entered the mansion, and he didn't understand why he couldn't see where the man was with his X-ray vision. His most powerful ability was his X-ray vision. If the man in the black robe could sneak up to him without his X-ray vision, then he was in danger. This opponent was undoubtedly the most powerful and difficult to deal with among all the opponents he had encountered, and he couldn't even figure out the identity of the other party. Pu Taiyong drove the car away from the main road and onto a secluded path. As soon as the Ford Explorer entered the path, a few Chevrolet Suburban off-road vans sped past on the main road. The CIB people had finally arrived. Charlotte looked at the watch on his wrist. It was exactly 0:20:30. The CIB's motorcade still needed 30 seconds to reach the mansion, which meant that it was exactly the time he had predicted, exactly 0:21. At 12:21, according to his plan, Gu Qin would enter Amanda's sniping scope in 30 seconds. But he had planned everything, but he didn't expect the ghostly man in the black robe to ruin his plan. "Boss, what happened?" Pu Taiyong broke the silence in the car. "I heard your conversation with Amanda on the communicator. Is that person from the FA organization?" "I'm not sure." Charlotte's answer was simple, but in his heart, he knew very well that the man in the black robe was definitely not from the FA organization. Amanda didn't see that person. "He must not be simple," Pu Taiyong said. "Be careful these 2 days. Turn on the lights when you sleep at night," Charlotte said. "Huh?" Pu Taiyong couldn't help but look at Charlotte. "Boss, do we need to turn on the lights when we sleep at night? Is it important?" Charlotte nodded. "It's very important." Pu Taiyong shrugged. "Okay, I'll turn on the lights when I sleep, but I can't control those guys." At this time, a piercing siren came from the main road. Charlotte looked through the window and saw a long line of French police cars and military SUVs of special forces. Those vehicles were madly driving in the direction of the villa. This time, he didn't look at the watch on his wrist. So what if he calculated the time exactly? The plan to assassinate Gu Qian had failed. Pu Taiyong turned the steering wheel and drove the car into an alley. There was no light in the alley, and it was dark. When the car lights dispelled the darkness, Amanda, Bagu, Marcus, and Erdamu appeared from the darkest corner of the alley. The four quickly walked over and got into the car. Pu Taiyong started the car again, drove through the alley, and headed in the direction of the Heart of Paris Hotel. "Boss, what just happened?" Amanda, who was sitting in the back, asked. Charlotte smiled bitterly. "I said I saw a man in a black robe. Did you see him?" Amanda shook her head. She looked at Charlotte with worry in her eyes. "Did you see him inside?" Charlotte asked the others. Bagu shook his head. Erdamu shook his head. Marcus also shook his head. Charlotte spread his hands. "Then pretend I didn't say anything. Also, from today onwards, turn on the lights when you sleep." "Huh?" Amanda froze for a moment, then asked with concern, "Boss, are you okay? Do you need to go to the hospital?" Charlotte. Chapter 736. Before the car came to a complete stop, Gu Qian couldn't wait to jump out of the car. Her footsteps were quick, not wanting to waste another second. A large group of elite CIB agents followed her to the door of the living room on the first floor. However, just as they were about to reach the door, a pile of broken glass next to the balcony caught Gu Qian's attention. She took a look and suddenly yelled, "Seal all exits immediately." Without waiting for her subordinates to complete her order, Gu Qian turned around and crawled into the bulletproof car. She was lying on the sofa in the back seat and didn't dare poke her head out the window. The CIB agents were speechless at how timid their leader was. Just as the CIB agents finished sealing off the exit, sirens sounded in the distance. "Leader, the French are coming." A CIB agent opened the car door and said to Gu Qian. Gu Qian's eyes were fixed on the window that Charlotte had smashed. "Leader, this isn't normal. There isn't even a guard here. Do you think I'm blind?" Gu Qian lost control of her emotions. The broken glass on the ground and the fact that none of Hattori Masao's guards showed up all pointed to the situation she didn't want to face the most. Hattori Masao had failed and Charlotte had escaped. "Leader, do we still go in?" "Go in. Take the people in immediately. If Charlotte is still inside, take him away immediately." Gu Qian still had a glimmer of hope in her heart. A few CIB agents protected each other and rushed into the living room on the first floor with guns drawn. Just then, the French arrived. A military off-road vehicle brutally rushed over and almost crashed into the Chevrolet Suburban that Gu Qian was hiding in. Jacqueline Eva jumped out of the car. Behind her, dozens of guns were raised in unison and locked onto different targets. This didn't include the French police. If the French police who were half a beat slower were included, there were at least 100 guns. This was enough to fight a war on terror. "Don't move," Jacqueline Eva yelled in English. "Put down your weapons." The CIB agents didn't follow Jacqueline Eva's order, nor did they take her seriously. However, they did not dare to act rashly. They placed the guns in their hands between their legs. "Don't be nervous. We're from the CIB. We're here to catch a terrorist." The CIB field agent introduced himself and showed his identification. "Who's your leader?" Jacqueline didn't even need to look at the CIB agents' IDs to know who they were. Gu Qian rolled down the window and poked his head out. "It's me. We won't explain anything to you, but you're the boss, so you'll receive an explanation." Jacqueline sneered. "If you're so afraid of death, why did you join the CIA? You should work in a bakery." Gu Qian snorted coldly. "I know who I'm facing. If it were you, you wouldn't even dare to show your face, let alone here." She was telling the truth. She was facing Charlotte, a nearly invincible existence. If it weren't for her luck back in Korea, the grass on her grave would have been 2 inches deep. She was here to catch Charlotte. How could she not guard against Charlotte's murderous methods that even ghosts were afraid of? At this time, a CIB agent poked his head out from a window on the second floor. Boss, the people inside are unconscious. The target is not here. Jacqueline Eva rushed in. Gu hesitated for a moment before getting out of the car. He quickly passed through the open area and rushed into the villa. 2 women appeared in my Hattori's room one after the other. 10 guards were lying in a mess in the room, and weapons were scattered around them. There were rifles, submachine guns, and pistols. My Hattori was lying on the carpet near the bed. Her legs were closed, and her clothes were neat and tidy. There was no sign that she had been violated. Her expression was also very normal, as if she was asleep. Gu Qian's expression was frighteningly cold. If there weren't the Frenchmen and her subordinates around her, she would have rushed up and stomped on my Hattori's chest with her high heels. If it weren't for my Hattori and her father, Hattori Misao, insisting on holding out for 6 hours, Charlotte wouldn't have had the chance to escape. Don't be afraid of a godlike opponent, but be afraid of a pig-like teammate. Gu Qian finally understood the true meaning of this sentence. Jacqueline Eva's nose twitched slightly, and her lips slowly revealed a subtle smile. She thought to herself, "You thief, you can fool others, but do you want to fool me too? You called me to rescue you, and the CIB happened to appear here at this time. What are you playing at?" Indeed, Charlotte had used Marie's desire. This could fool others, but not her. She was the owner of this mysterious perfume. Although Charlotte had done the relevant treatment, even if there was a little smell left in the air, she could still recognize it. However, although she was sure of this, she couldn't guess Charlotte's motive. Of course, she couldn't guess it because in Charlotte's plan, she was here to collect Gu Qian's corpse. A CIB agent walked to Gu Qian's side and whispered in his ear. Gu Qian then left my Hattori's room and went to the study. "Everyone get out," Jacqueline Eva said aloud. The room was quickly emptied. Jacqueline Eva closed the door and then walked to my Hattori's side. She took out a small glass bottle from her pocket, pulled out the cork, and then passed the glass bottle to my Hattori's nostrils. The glass bottle was half filled with a small bottle of red liquid, emitting a yogurt-like smell. But it was this strange smell that played a miraculous role. After a few seconds, my Hattori's eyelids twitched, and then she opened them. The light in Jacqueline Eva's face entered my Hattori's sight, and she was suddenly shocked. Her memory was still stuck at the time when she had just walked out of the bathroom. At that time, she had just put down the iron cage and then looked at the monkey she had caught naked. "What happened?" Jacqueline Eva asked in English. My Hattori shook her head in confusion. "I don't know. Where is he?" "Who?" "You know who I'm talking about." "I don't know what you're talking about. Why are you here? Do you need me to remind you?" Jacqueline Eva suddenly grabbed my Hattori's collar and pulled her up from the ground. "Charlotte, where is he?" "I don't know," my Hattori said coldly. "You'd better let me go, or you'll get into trouble." Jacqueline Eva let go of my Hattori's collar. "If anything happens to Mr. Xia, you'll be in trouble, and your father too. Get out of here." My Hattori's tone was very tough. Jacqueline Eva opened the door and walked quickly. "Let's go." After the French left, my Hattori suddenly lifted her skirt. What she saw was a piece of black lace worn inside out. Not only was it worn backwards, but it was also worn askew, revealing a lot of threads for no reason. Finally, she smelled a faint smell of hand sanitizer. The smell of hand sanitizer suddenly made her realize something, and her emotions collapsed at that moment. She roared in her heart, "Charlotte, you bastard! How dare you use hand sanitizer to wash me? I'm going to kill you." Hand sanitizer was only used to wash hands, but Charlotte had used it on other places. This was really too much. Gu Qian walked in. "Miss Bailia, your father is in the study. He hasn't woken up yet." After a pause, she asked, "Are you all right?" My Hattori put down her skirt and didn't say anything. "Miss Bailia, what happened? Where's Charlotte? Did he escape?" My Hattori slowly got up. Her legs were a little weak. However, she knew that it wasn't because of her coma, but because of that stinky brat. "Miss Bailia, tell me, what'd he do? Where is he?" My Hattori glanced at Gu Qian and said, "Scram." Gu Qian. At the same time, in a speeding military SUV, Jacqueline Eva received a call from the Star Hotel in Paris. "Boss, Mr. Xia is back." Jacqueline Eva was stunned. What's wrong with him? He drank a little. Is he hurt? A little abrasions, but it's not serious. Got it, I'll be right there. Jacqueline Eva hung up the phone. 10 minutes later, Jacqueline Eva arrived at the Star Hotel in Paris. She knocked on Charlotte's door. Charlotte, who opened the door for her, was wearing pajamas and reeking of alcohol. Stop pretending. Jacqueline Eva entered the room and closed the door with her heel. Charlotte shrugged. What am I pretending about? Jacqueline Eva pressed on Charlotte. You stole my Mary's desire, and you took down those Japanese. I don't know what you're talking about. Charlotte backed away. Do I have to say it out loud? Jacqueline Eva looked unhappy. You called me for help, and I rushed to Hattori Masao's house with my men, but you escaped. You have the ability to deal with those Japanese. Why did you make that call? I really don't know what you're talking about. Charlotte looked innocent. Jacqueline Eva suddenly reached out and grabbed the collar of Charlotte's pajamas. Then, with a jerk, Charlotte's pajamas were ripped open. There were a few small wounds and some abrasions on his body. What are you doing? Charlotte covered the area below his waist with his hand. Although it was covered by a triangular piece of cloth, it still made him feel very embarrassed. I saw glass shards in Hattori Hanzo's house. You jumped out of Beryl's room, right? What happened? Jacqueline Eva continued to ask. Continuing to act shamelessly wouldn't solve the problem. Charlotte smiled bitterly. Well, those Japanese used Beryl to get close to me. They wanted to get my technology from me and then hand me over to the CIB. Fortunately, I brought the Mary's desire you gave me. Otherwise, I would have fallen into the hands of the Japanese this time. I thought it was unlikely to succeed, so after I released Mary's desire, I called for help. But then I found out that they were all drugged, so I ran. That's it. Jacqueline Eva looked at Charlotte doubtfully. That's it. I don't believe you. You must be hiding something. Then I can't satisfy your curiosity. Charlotte closed his pajamas. I'll call my secretary to come over and help me apply the medicine. Jacqueline Eva grabbed Charlotte's hand. Don't call your secretary. I'll help you apply the medicine. Charlotte smiled. Thank you. After a while, Charlotte lay on his bed. Jacqueline Eva sat on the edge of the bed with a bottle of hydrogen peroxide and a cotton swab. Do you really have nothing to tell me? Jacqueline Eva took out a cotton swab. Charlotte said, I think I'd better call my secretary. Suddenly, Eva stuck the cotton-free end of the cotton swab into a wound on Charlie's buttocks. Dash. Chapter 737. Did Gu Qin have a tough life? It was better to say that the black-robed man came at the right time. Charlotte didn't sleep all night. He thought about it all night, but in the end, he didn't come up with a satisfactory result. Make the arrangements for me. I'm going back to China. Charlotte said to Jacqueline Eva when he got up in the morning. Jacqueline Eva was slightly stunned. You going back now? Charlotte said, Yes, I have to go back. It's not safe for me to stay here. If I hadn't escaped in time last night, I'm afraid I would have fallen into the hands of the CIA. If you weren't fascinated by Belle, you wouldn't have been there at all. You stay in the hotel, and no one can hurt you. Charlotte didn't think so. He thought of the black-robed man. If that guy came here, the French might not be able to defend themselves. Although he thought so, he still didn't plan to tell Jacqueline Eva about this. He said, I've decided. Make the arrangements for me. This is not only for my safety, but also for the sake of our deal. I have to go back to China to process the core parts for you. Those parts can't be done without me. Okay, I'll make the arrangements for you. Jacqueline Eva also got up from the bed. She looked around, and then suddenly held onto Charlotte's shoulder. She turned sideways, stretched out her leg, and kicked straight to the clothes rack. The thing she was looking for, the white dress, was hanging on the highest hook of the rack. Long legs as white as jade, plump and perky buttocks, a bow-shaped waist, and toes that were as sharp as arrows. There were other more fascinating sceneries. There was no doubt that this was the most beautiful posture Charlotte had ever seen in his life when picking clothes from the rack. Jacqueline Eva's jade-like toes gently flicked, and the white dress slid down from her instep, and then slid down her calf to her thigh. Charlotte shrugged. Do you usually dress like this? Jacqueline's hand left Charlotte's shoulder. Ignoring Charlotte's stare, she pulled the little white penis up from the other leg. Will you come back? Jacqueline, Eva looked at Charlotte. Charlotte smiled. Does it matter to you whether I come back or not? Jacqueline and Eva also laughed, then said, not important. After a pause, she added, but I'm afraid it'll be hard for me to find such a good bed partner like you in the future. Charlotte. An hour later, Villepinte Exhibition Center. Charlotte told Qin Kaiwei and his employees that he was going back to China and then arranged the work. This news was very sudden to Qin Kaiwei and the staff of Rema Group, but it didn't affect them much. The orders had been signed, and the exhibition was just a formality. Many of Rema Group's employees were already planning their romantic trip to France. All kinds of tourist attractions and shopping plans were enough for them to worry about. They didn't have the time to analyze why their chairman Xia had suddenly returned to China. Qin Kaiwei was probably the most disappointed, but she could only hide her disappointment in her heart. After settling everything, Charlotte left the Rema Group exhibition hall and prepared to return to the hotel. He received a call from Jacqueline Eva. She didn't arrange the fastest flight for him, but a direct flight to the capital of China. However, before Charlotte could walk out of the Villepinte Exhibition Center, he was stopped by someone in the public hall. The person who stopped him was dressed in a black office lady suit. She had a slender waist, a plump butt, and a pair of long legs that took up 2/3 of her body. She had the exquisite facial features unique to Asian women, but also the beautiful blue eyes of Western women and a hot body. She was none other than my Hattori, who had set up a trap to catch Monkey last night, but was knocked out by him. My Hattori stood in front of Charlotte and looked at him coldly. Charlotte moved sideways and was about to go around her. My Hattori also moved sideways and stood in front of him again. Charlotte smiled. So it's you. Good morning, Mai. Have you forgotten me so quickly? My Hattori finally spoke. Aren't you too realistic? This is a realistic world to begin with, Yi Zichen said. We have to talk. Well, no problem. I'll be happy to talk to you about whatever you want to talk to me about. But I have something urgent to deal with now. How about this? Charlotte pretended to think for a moment. How about dinner tonight? We can talk while we eat. I want to talk to you now. Not now. Okay, I'll pick you up tonight. I have to go. Charlotte moved another step and was about to slip past my Hattori. My Hattori reached out and grabbed Charlotte's hand. You want to slip away? It's not that easy. The smile on Charlotte's face disappeared. My Hattori, I don't owe you anything. If you do this again, I won't be polite. My Hattori sneered. You want to hit me? Then do it. I'll let you. I want to see how the media will report a man hitting a woman in such an occasion. Although that was what Xia Lei said. If he really wanted to hit my Hattori, especially under such circumstances, he wouldn't do such a thing. Well, I'll give you 5 minutes, Charlotte said. It wasn't that he was afraid of my Hattori's entanglement. If he really wanted to leave, my Hattori couldn't stop him. The reason why he agreed to give my Hattori 5 minutes was that he wanted to put an end to his relationship with my Hattori. The second reason was that he also wanted to know the Japanese's reaction. Come with me. When my Hattori let go of Charlotte, she turned and walked out of the public hall. Charlotte followed my Hattori to the open-air parking lot. The door of a Toyota van opened, and Hattori Masao got out of the car. A few of Hattori Masao's guards also got out of the car next to them, but they didn't approach. They just stood 2 meters away and stared at Charlotte. Charlotte didn't care about these people. He followed my Hattori to Hattori Masao and took the initiative to greet him. Mr. Hattori, you look good. You must have encountered something happy. His daughter was slept with, the technology that was in his hands flew away, and the person he wanted to kill was still standing in front of him with a smile on his face, making sarcastic remarks. If these things were considered good things, then Hattori Masao would be the happiest person in the world. However, the happiest person in the world wanted to do the most was to pull out his gun and shoot this China kid in the head 10 times. Not a single shot less. Although Hattori Masao's heart was itching, he was still very good at enduring. A smile slowly appeared on his face. Yesterday you called me uncle, and today you're calling me Mr. Hattori. In a few days, I'm afraid you'll be calling me Hattori a fool, right? Charlotte smiled. I wouldn't dare to do that. It's just a title. If you want, I'll call you uncle from now on, okay? All right, let's not beat around the bush. Hattori Masao, stopped smiling. You know why I'm looking for you. He extended his hand to Charlotte. Charlotte was stunned for a moment, and then he shook his hand. Hattori Misao shook off Charlotte's hand. I'm not shaking your hand. I want to take back my things. What is it? Xiaolei asked with a confused look. Hattori Misao sneered. You're really forgetful. That USB contains the technology of the Thunder Dragon AI machine tool, the XL 2500 sniper rifle, the Gale assault rifle, and the Hellhound cannon. I used artificial intelligence technology to exchange for your technology, but you stole it last night. My Hattori interrupted and said, give us the USB, and we'll be even. Charlotte couldn't help but laugh. What are you laughing at? My Hattori stared at Charlotte. Hattori Misao also suppressed the anger in his heart and resisted the urge to slap Charlotte. Charlotte stopped laughing, and his voice became cold. You still have a nerve to mention last night's deal to me? If I wasn't smart and lucky last night, I would be lying in a basement, and the CIA would be using torture tools on me, right? You made a deal with the CIA, and you wanted to send me to hell. I escaped, and you still dare to ask me for Rema Group's technology? I say, do you really think I'm an idiot? Or do you think I'm a coward who doesn't dare to do anything to you? You took our artificial intelligence technology, and that's the truth. Hattori Misao gave an explanation he had prepared. What happened last night was a misunderstanding. I didn't make any deal with the CIA. The CIA appearing in my house was definitely a coincidence. Let's deal with it as it is. You took our stuff, so you have to fulfill our agreement and give me the USB. I don't know what USB you're talking about. I didn't take anything from you. When I escaped from your house last night, I was only wearing underwear. I still want my clothes back, Charlotte said. You dash. Hattori Misao's eyes were frighteningly cold. Charlotte sneered. Don't give me that look. I don't care at all. Hattori Misao, you never want to make a deal with me from the beginning. I only took a look at the blueprints you took out, and just because I took a look, does that mean I took your technology? Didn't you also show my technology to your engineers? Since everyone has seen it, why do you still want me to give you another copy? Charlotte, you took that SSD. My Hattori lost control of her emotions. Charlotte said, I've already made it very clear. When I escaped from your house, I was only wearing underwear. I didn't take any SSD. I was running for my life. So why would I care about the SSD? Charlotte, are you going to go back on your word? Hattori Misao said coldly. Charlotte looked at the watch on his wrist. All right, 5 minutes have passed. I only have one thing to say. Don't take yourself too seriously. Don't say that I didn't take your technology. Even if I did, what can you do to me? Sue me in the International Court of Justice? Or send your agents to arrest me? Do whatever you want. But I have to remind you, if you make a move against me, I will settle the old and new accounts with you. After saying this, Charlotte turned around and left. Bastard! Hattori Misao punched the window of the Toyota Nanny van, and the glass shook before shattering into pieces. My Hattori's eyes were fixed on Charlotte's back, and her eyes were cold. Of all the people here, if one were to talk about the hatred they had for Xiaolei, then her hatred would undoubtedly be the strongest. She had sacrificed so much in exchange for this result. Free sleep, free play, and free things. How could there be such a cheap thing in this world? She couldn't accept it. Call your brother. You should be doing something, Hattori Misao said. My Hattori nodded. Chapter 738. The trip to France was over. For the French, they had gotten rid of the hot potato, Charlotte, ahead of time. For Charlotte, returning ahead of time could not only get rid of the Japanese's entanglement, but it also kept him away from danger. More importantly, he had indeed taken the Hattori family's artificial intelligence for free. He could not wait to turn what was recorded in his brain and SSD into reality. This kind of thing could not be achieved in France. Although this trip to France encountered many twists and turns, and even dangerous, the harvest was unprecedented. The deal with the French allowed him to get rid of more than 20 billion in loans, which was equivalent to removing all the burdens from his body, allowing him to start with ease and challenge those world-class arms giants. The deal with the Hattori family allowed him to take the artificial intelligence technology for free. If the Hattori family's artificial intelligence technology was applied to Rema Group, then Rema Group would be like a tiger with wings. At dawn, a Dassault Falcon 900 landed at Kyoto International Airport. Charlotte shook hands with the French flight attendant who sent him back and said goodbye, then dragged a simple suitcase into the arrival hall. He did not call anyone to say that he was coming back, but when he entered the arrival hall, he saw 3 familiar faces. When he left, it was the 3 female section chiefs of 101 innings who sent him off. Now that he was back, it was the 3 female section chiefs of 101 innings who came to pick him up: Long Bing, Tang Yuyin, and Liang Xiao. 3 beautiful women with completely different styles. Charlotte should feel honored, but he only felt a headache, because he knew that when these 3 women appeared in front of him at the same time, it was never a good thing. The 4 faces faced each other, and 4 pairs of eyes looked at each other. The 4 of them were very good-looking, and such a still scene immediately attracted a lot of attention and gossip. These 4 people are some Korean group, right? Look at their eyes. It's the legendary 4-cornered love. Damn, how can you tell? I've watched more Korean dramas than you've watched porn. In the end, these gossips still affected 4 people. Long Bing did not say anything. She just smiled at Charlotte. Liang Xiao also did not say anything, but came up to take his suitcase from Charlotte's hands. Tang Yuyin was the only one who spoke. You were arrested. Please come with us. Charlotte smiled. On what charges? Seducing a good girl. Charlotte, but before Xiaolei could say anything, Tang Yuyin came up and grabbed Xiaolei's arm, arrested him, and took him away. Liang Xiao frowned in dissatisfaction, but still dragged Charlotte's suitcase and left. She helped Xiaolei with his luggage, and Tang Yuyin simply took Xiaolei's hand and left. What was this? Did she think she was an attendant? Of course, she was not happy. Long Bing was the only one who remained calm. In her eyes, everything else was inferior, and the only thing that was good was watching. An hour later, at the headquarters of 101 innings, Sherborne's office. Not only was Sherborne in the office, but Yu Shanhe was also there. Charlotte then realized that although Long Bing, Tang Yuyin, and Liang Xiao did not say anything, they did not go to the airport together to pick him up. They were under Sherborne's orders. When he returned from France, the French side would definitely call the relevant personnel, and it would be too easy for Sherborne to get the relevant information. However, what was Yu Shanhe doing here? Charlotte could not help but guess, but he would never believe that Yu Shanhe was here to celebrate his success. Well done, kid. I really admire you. As soon as Charlotte entered the door, Sherborne laughed and gave Charlotte a solid bear hug. Charlotte smiled and said, It's because of your leadership, President Sher. I'm just a small soldier. If you don't command me, I don't know what to do. Ha ha ha, I can't outtalk you. Sherborne's smile was very ugly. He did not like to be flattered, but Charlotte was an exception. Charlotte took the initiative to walk in front of Yu Shanhe and reached out to shake hands with him. Hello, Chief Yu. Yu Shanhe's tone was indifferent. Well, hello, Charlotte said. Chief Yu is here to talk to President Sher. I won't keep you any longer. I'll say hello and leave. He knew that Sherborne had sent Long Bing, Tang Yuyin, and Liang Xiao to pick him up because there must be something to talk about, but he was not interested in Yu Shanhe here. Where are you going? Sherborne said. We are all waiting for you here. If you leave, who will we talk to? You're looking for me? Charlotte was a little surprised. Why would I come here if not for you? Yu Shanhe's tone was still indifferent. I'm here to deal with the Rema Group's loan, and... He paused for a moment before continuing, and the Rema Group's weapons export. This time in France. Charlotte's mood was good until he returned to the parking lot of 101 innings, but now his mood had begun to develop in the opposite direction. The Rema Group's loan definitely had to be dealt with. This was led by Fan, and he had reached an agreement with the higher-ups. But he did not expect Yu Shanhe to deal with this matter. In his imagination and will, Fan was the most suitable person to deal with this matter. Also, Yu Shanhe mentioned the Rema Group's weapons export. Yu Shanhe did not explain it clearly, but from Yu Shanhe's tone and attitude, he already felt that trouble was approaching him. Sherborne glanced at the 3 women. What are you still standing here for? Are you bored recently? Don't you need to do anything? Lazy, Come to me when you're done. Tang Yuyan said, and was the first to leave. Liang Xiao and Long Bing also left Sherborne's office. Charlotte, what do you drink? Black tea or Tiguanyin? I'll make it for you. Sherborne was always so polite to Charlotte. Thank you. Charlotte also maintained a respect he deserved. Boss, sure, let me do it. I don't dare to accept you making tea for me all the time. What do you mean you don't dare to accept? Sit down. I'll make tea for you. Sherborne had always been a straightforward person. He liked Xiao Lei, and it wasn't without reason that he respected Xiao Lei. Just for Charlotte's contribution to the country, he was willing to make tea for him. Yu Shana said with a smile. Boss sure is the most considerate leader I've ever seen. Charlotte, you have to cherish him. Charlotte sat on the sofa. Chief Yu, I know your time is precious. Let's get down to business. Well, let's get down to business. Yu Shanha opened his briefcase, took out a red-headed document, and handed it to Charlotte along with a pen. What's this? This is the document to waive Rema Group's loan. Take a look and sign it if there's no problem, Yu Shanha said. Charlotte opened the document and quickly finished reading it. He also frowned. What does it mean to send me an administrative director? And it's even proposed in such a document. Yu Shanha said, if you're making something else, as long as you follow the principles of the market and abide by the law, naturally no one will interfere with your business activities. But you're making weapons, not rice and flour. Appropriate guidance is also necessary. That's why I'm sending you an administrative director. You're still young, and it's inevitable that some problems will be handled improperly. It's good to have someone to help you. If I don't sign it, will I not be exempted from the loan? Charlotte looked at Yu Shanha. Although his heart was burning with anger, he still maintained a calm face. Yu Shanha smiled faintly. Isn't it obvious? That's more than 20 billion. Do you think it's 2 million? You want the country to waive so much of your loan and send you a helper, but you're not willing? Waiving more than 20 billion in loans at once was really not a small amount. Judging from the value of the loan alone, the country waived such a large loan for Rema Group and sent someone to guide his work. This was not something that could not be agreed to, and there was nothing to feel aggrieved about. It was even a big bargain for him. But was that really the case? Charlotte put the document on the table and said calmly, Chief Yu, where will this administrative director come from? You don't have to worry about that. Someone will naturally arrange it, and someone will come to your company to do the work that should be done, Yu Shanha said. Sherborne brought a cup of tea to Charlotte, but did not interrupt. He walked to the desk alone to read the newspaper. He obviously knew something about the situation, but he chose to be a bystander in this situation. Chief Yu, just now you said that there are some problems with Rema Group's export of weapons. What problems? Charlotte asked. You sign a lot of orders in France, and we haven't been in contact with some new customers. This is not allowed. You should submit the relevant report before exporting weapons, and you can only sign the order after getting approval. You used to do a good job, but after you became big, you obviously forgot this rule. This is not allowed. Charlotte was very clear about Yu Shanha's purpose. In fact, it could also be said that Yu Shanha represented the interests of domestic military enterprises. The rapid development of Rema Group did not affect the interests of one or two people. As long as Rema Group did not collapse or became one of them, then his troubles would not disappear. In fact, these two things can be counted as one thing. Waiving your loan and regulating Rema Group's market behavior. You need an official appointed administrative director, Yu Shanha said. Can I ask what this administrative director is responsible for? Haven't I already made it very clear? Guide your work, supervise, and guide Rema Group's market behavior. I can't explain it clearly now, but you will definitely figure it out. Yu Shanha pointed to the document on the tea table. Sign it. I still have a meeting to attend. Charlotte did not move. He smiled. Chief Yu, let me say the first thing first. I didn't ask the country to waive my loan for no reason. This time, I brought back far more than 20 billion in benefits for the country. I didn't take it for nothing. I didn't take advantage of anyone. Also, the orders I signed in Paris were all from legitimate buyers. The country encourages the export of conventional weapons, and there are no strict restrictions. I signed the order in Paris. Do I have to fly back to ask for the approval of a certain leader? If so, how can I do business? This was what Charlotte wanted to say, and he said it. He won a more than 20 billion loan in France, and it was not for nothing. This was a deal of roughly equal value. Why should he be given administrative director? If he agreed to this condition, there would be another one soon. How could he not understand the strategy of boiling a frog in warm water? In the end, he could not even make decisions for his own Rema group. You mean you don't want to sign it? Yushana's face darkened. Charlotte shook his head. I won't sign it. I'll sign it after you remove that one. Oof. You're the one who wants to waive the loan, not me. Do you want me to beg you? It's up to you to sign it or not. Yushana grabbed the document and left. Chapter 739. Yushana really left without even saying goodbye to Sherborne. Charlotte watched as Yushana left, not even bothering to say take care. Yushana's attitude was to let him sign it if he wanted to, but his attitude was to let him go if he wanted to. Kid, if you let him go just like that, what about the loan? Sherborne asked worriedly. Charlotte smiled. If he has more than 20 billion to help me repay the loan, I'll ask him to stay. But does he have it? Besides, I'm not asking anyone for this money. This is my payment for the deal with the French. If I don't receive the payment, will this deal still exist? Will he leave? I don't care if he wants to leave or not. Sherborne smiled. You kid, I knew he wouldn't be able to subdue you this time. Talking about money? Isn't money just a pile of paper in your eyes? These words were a little exaggerated, but this was also Charlotte's confidence. The deal with the French, to put it bluntly, was actually a deal between the French and him. Without him, it could not be carried out at all. And even if the deal went through, the French would give 25% of the technology each time. He had to pay the corresponding price to get the French's technology. How could he miss out on such a deal? If the deal had been completed and Yu Shanha brought such a document to him to sign, he might have signed it for the sake of the 20 billion. But the deal had not been completed, so how could Yu Shanha threaten him? Then what are you going to do? Sherborne looked a little curious. Charlotte shrugged. I won't do anything. I'll rest for a few days first. Aren't you going to find someone to do this? There's no need for that at all. Yu Shanha represents the interests of some people. They want to set up obstacles for me because of their interests, so I'll let them be. Yushana was putting on airs in front of me. Wasn't he trying to make me submit to him? But he got one thing wrong, and that is that I'm the only person who can deal with the French, and he's not the only leader like him. He. Sherborne laughed even louder. What you said makes sense. I, Sherborne, have never admired anyone in my life, but I admire you. Boss, sure, don't flatter me. Sherborne suddenly changed the topic. Let's not talk about this anymore. Let's talk business. What business? No matter how great your achievements are, you will always be my 101 innings player. What happens in 101 innings is your problem. You just came back, so I shouldn't have let you go on a mission. But I can't do this without you. I have to send you my trump card. Charlotte secretly said in his heart. When he says it, I'll find an excuse to reject it. It's like this. Something has happened in Xi province recently. According to our intelligence, some foreign terrorists have sneaked in. At present, we don't know what they're planning to do. We have zero tolerance for such people. I'm going to nip them and their plans in the bud. I'll leave this mission to you and Yu Yan. Even if Sherborne didn't say that, Charlotte knew that this mission would be carried out by him and Tang Yuyan. This was because Sherborne had such thoughts for a long time. The old man always spared no effort to matchmake him and Tang Yin together. This was also something that gave him a headache. So what exactly was this mission? Or was it something else? This was really hard to understand. Charlotte smiled bitterly. Boss, sure, I just came back. Sherborne interrupted Charlotte. Didn't you say that you have nothing to do these few days? Why aren't you going to carry out the mission? This matter has been decided. It won't take up too much of your time. 3 to 5 days, 5 to 6 days, you and Yi Yin will go. Whether the mission is over or not, you can come back at any time. Charlotte was speechless. What are you still doing here? Go and get ready. After a pause, Sherborne added, bring a good camera. The scenery there is not bad. Was this a mission or a vacation? Charlotte deeply doubted this. However, he didn't reject Sherborne. He wanted to relax for the next few days. It was not a big deal to go to Shi province to carry out a mission and travel for a few days. If he disappeared for a few days, he could put some pressure on Yushanha. Didn't you say you're going to leave? I don't care anymore. Let's see who can keep their cool. Boss, sure. Then I'll leave tomorrow, Charlotte said. No problem. Sure, Boren was ready to interrupt Charlotte at any time. Seeing that Charlotte agreed, he breathed a sigh of relief. After leaving Sure Boren's office, Charlotte saw Tang Yuyin hiding by the wall, eavesdropping. Tang Yuyin stood up awkwardly and then glared at Charlotte. You scared me. If I was scared, would you feed me? Charlotte smiled. Let's have dinner together tonight. Okay, my house or somewhere else. Tang Yuyin suddenly became happy. Let's go to my house. I asked Xiao and Frosty to come too. Charlotte said, we've been gone for so long. Let's get together and have some fun. The smile on Tang Yuyin's face disappeared instantly. Charlotte took out a gift box from his suitcase and put it in Tang Yuyin's hand. A present for me? Tang Yuyin's face lit up with a smile. In that short time, her expression could be compared to the change of face in Sichuan opera. Yes, perfume. Oh my, just one bottle. It took me a lot of effort to get it from someone. It's called Marie's Desire. It's a private brew. You can't buy it even with money, Charlotte said. So magical? Do you have more? I want another bottle. No, no more, Charlotte said in a hurry. I don't believe it. You must have more. Tang Yuyin reached out to grab Charlotte's suitcase. What are you two doing? Mind your image, okay? Liang Xiao walked out from the corner of the aisle with a smile on her face, but there was jealousy in her eyes. When Liang Xiao appeared, Long Bing also walked out from the other side of the aisle a second later. But she didn't say anything, and with her personality and outlook on life and love, she probably wouldn't say anything even if Charlotte and Tang Yuyin kissed in this aisle. And even if she was uncomfortable, it wouldn't be for too long. You came at the right time. I brought you a gift from France. Charlotte quickly opened his suitcase and took out the last 2 bottles of perfume. He gave one to Liang Xiao and the other to Long Bing. Thank you. Liang Xiao smiled happily. I never use perfume. Long Bing said, if you don't need it, give it to me. Tang Yuyin said, but I will use it if Charlotte gave it to me. Long Bing said, Tang Yuyin, okay, come over for dinner tonight. Charlotte dragged his suitcase and left. I'll go back first. I'll take a shower and then prepare dinner. The 3 women watched Charlotte leave. They didn't look away until Charlotte disappeared around the corner of the aisle. Yuyin, I heard that you're going to Shi province with Charlotte for a mission. Liang Xiao played with the perfume in her hand and asked tentatively. Tang Yuyin's mouth curled up beautifully. You're really well informed. Yes, it's a counterterrorism mission. Do you need help? Liang Xiao said, I don't have anything to do recently. I can go with you. No, the 2 of us are enough. How could Tang Yuyin let Liang Xiao go with them? Unless she was too full and her brain was damaged. Long Bing left with the perfume. Don't you want to say anything? Tang Yuyin asked. Long Bing looked back at Tang Yuyin and said faintly, well, I wish you a happy honeymoon and a healthy baby. Is that okay? You really, what nonsense are you talking about? You're sick, She laughed 8 times. Tang Yuyin's heart was already known to everyone. You're the one who's sick. Long Bing withdrew her gaze and walked in the direction where Charlotte left. Where are you going? Your office is on the other side. Tang Yuyin said, I'm going to drive Charlotte. Long Bing said. Tang Yuyin suddenly froze on the spot. She wished her and Charlotte a happy honeymoon and a healthy baby, but in the blink of an eye, she was going to drive Charlotte. What does it matter? The relationship between the 3 female section chiefs and Charlotte, I'm afraid that even the 2 baldies on if you are the one couldn't sort out, right? The Mengsher off-road vehicle left the capital and drove in the direction of the Thunder Horse military factory. That you guy didn't make things difficult for you, right? Long Bing broke the silence in the car. Charlotte smiled bitterly. He represents the interests of the domestic military industry. How could he not make things difficult for me? I really want to help you, but I'm just a nobody. I can't do this kind of thing even if I want to. You don't have to worry about these things. I can handle him. Let's not talk about him. Long Bing put the bottle of perfume that Charlotte gave her into Charlotte's hands. Charlotte was stunned for a moment. What are you doing? Don't you like it? What do you like? I'll give you something else. Who said I don't like it? I'm asking you to open it and help me sprinkle some. Long Bing smiled at Charlotte. She rarely smiled, so every time she did, she gave people a beautiful feeling. Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. He couldn't help but think of how good she was. Hurry up. I've never used perfume before. I want to try it. Long Bing urged. Only then did Charlotte open the gift box and take out the perfume bottle. He pulled out the cork, carefully approached her, and sprayed the perfume on her body. The car was filled with the mysterious and charming smell of Marley's desire. It wasn't just a fragrance, it was also a mood. It quietly tickled the hearts of the men and women in the car. Long Bing avoided Charlotte's gaze. She actually felt a little shy. Xiao Lei was overjoyed in his heart. He suddenly pulled open her collar and then carefully sprayed perfume on the snow-white, sparkling peaks. Long Bing didn't seem to expect Charlotte to do this. Charlotte smiled. Does it smell good? It smells good. Long Bing's answer was very simple and expressionless. But I'm not used to it smelling so good. Charlotte lifted her t-shirt a little more and sprayed a little perfume on her small waist and navel. Women, sometimes it's cute to smell good. Do you like women who smell good? Long Bing asked. Charlotte nodded. Yes, I do. I'm a woman who smells good now. Long Bing suddenly turned the steering wheel. The Mengsher SUV drove out of the main road and into a shady path. There was no wind, but the Mengsher SUV was moving. Chapter 740. The three section chiefs left, and Sylvia and Anina went to bed. A world without women was peaceful. Charlotte carried a backpack and arrived at the villa inside the factory. This place had been guarded by Wu Xiaohua and his subordinates. After Sylvia and Anina moved out, no one else stayed here. Under the night sky, without any lights, it looked like a haunted house. Two Special Forces soldiers guarding the front door saluted Charlotte. Charlotte nodded in return and entered the villa without any obstruction. When he arrived at the underground laboratory, Charlotte opened his backpack and took out the things inside. The notebook with only one entry, the piece of silver metal, and the old canvas that once had content but eventually disappeared. These were all things he had brought out from the Da Vinci Labyrinth in Bobbio, Italy. There were also some other things like Da Vinci's manuscripts and paintings, but he did not bring them here. The laboratory was silent. Charlotte was lost in thought as he looked at the three items. The ancient alloy, Princess Yong Mei, Da Vinci, the silver medal, the bronze book, and the compass all appeared in his mind. There was an inevitable connection between these people and things, but he couldn't find a line that could connect these people and things together. After staring blankly for a while, Xiao Lei picked up the notebook. He opened it, and the first page was still in Italian. When you see this, it means you are here. I have finally completed the mission she gave me. I can't help but imagine the scene at this moment, and it makes me excited. I hope you can unlock the secret of the box. I am in heaven, waiting for your good news. Also, she gave me a piece of metal. I have tried it, but I can't understand its structure. Maybe you can. The way out is right in front of you. How did the Viking pirate get in? He had gone to Bobbio in Italy because of Peaceful's paintings and the paintings that she had mentioned when she was in her possessed state. According to the message left behind by Da Vinci, his main mission in the underground labyrinth was to wake someone up. The silver medal was secondary. The people of the Knight's Hospitaller call this silver medal God's medal and regard it as the holy relic of the Knight's Hospitaller. It's impossible that it doesn't have a story, and it's impossible that it has no value, right? In the underground labyrinth, I tested its strength. It is not an ordinary medal. Da Vinci studied it, but he didn't leave behind any research information. Charlotte flipped the first page and then raised the blank page above his head, using the overhead light to illuminate the empty paper. The paper was very clean, without a trace of ink. Under the illumination of the light, he could see some faint traces left behind by Da Vinci when he wrote the first page. Just as Charlotte was about to flip it over, he suddenly remembered something. He put the second page under the light and activated the microvision ability of his left eye. This time, he saw something different. Some of the scribbles were different from the text on the first page. These different markings meant that Da Vinci had written something else after the first page. If he did not, there would not be any different markings on the second page. Charlotte then used the same method to check the rest of the paper, and he found even more marks. These marks were very faint. Under normal circumstances, if he did not activate the microvision ability, he would not have been able to find these marks. This discovery made Charlotte excited. He was sure that Da Vinci had left behind something in this notebook. He quickly prepared the acid-base solution of different concentrations, and then carefully dripped some onto the white paper on the notebook. Without waiting for him to try out all the acid-base solutions he had prepared, the first drop of the solution worked. The parts that were wet by the acid-base solution quickly revealed Italian words. Charlotte could not help but laugh. He danced in the laboratory like a child. Da Vinci, oh Da Vinci, you really are the smartest person in the world. You could actually create invisible ink in that era. Invisible ink was not a rare item in the modern era. It could be bought at a stationery store with money. But in Da Vinci's era, it was definitely a magical existence. More acid-based solution dripped onto the white paper, and a complete paragraph of Italian words appeared on the white paper. Am I the smartest person in the world? No, if I am the smartest person in the world, I can unlock the secret of God's metal. In my opinion, it is as mysterious as she is and does not belong to this world. 30 years ago, she appeared in front of me. She made me different. 30 years have passed, and my search has been fruitless. I am old and will die soon, but she is still so young, without any signs of aging. I think she is an angel, and it is part of the angel's sword. She is an angel who fell to the mortal world, and her angel's sword was destroyed. She is looking for the traces of a god, and she is fighting against the devil. But this is destined to be a dangerous and thorny road. Charlotte continued to drip the acid-based solution on the white paper. More content appeared. She always came back with injuries, and every time she would bring back some mineral powder and smear on the canvas. I asked her what the mineral powder was, but she never told me. I also asked her why she painted such a strange picture, and she said that if she died, one day someone would come here to wake her up. I can't understand such a thing, just like I can't understand the world of God. The second page was finished. Charlotte was still in a daze in front of the notebook, holding the dropper containing the acid-based solution like a statue. The content written by Da Vinci with invisible ink solved some of the mysteries that puzzled him, but it also gave him quite a shock. 20 years ago, she appeared in front of me. She made me different. This was Da Vinci's original words. There was nothing special about such a sentence, but in Charlotte's eyes, it was not that simple. His ability came from the AE capsules. Without the AE capsules left behind by his father, his life would not be what it was now. Perhaps he would still be welding at construction sites, moving bricks, and living like a dog at the bottom of society. Therefore, the turning point of his life was the AE capsule. Da Vinci was known as the smartest person in the world, and he was more than the only all-rounder in the world. The turning point of his life was she. So, could it be that the turning point of his life was because she gave him the AE capsule? Hundreds of years had passed, and Da Vinci was already dead. He obviously could not give an answer. The only one who could give an answer was she, but where was she? Charlotte turned the second page, and his eyes fell on the third page. The acid-based solution that seeped down from the second page had already revealed the content on the third page. She likes to sit under the hot sun, doing nothing, just looking at the sun. I also tried it, but I can't even hold it for a minute, but she can sit like that for a whole day until the sun goes down. She said that this will make her stronger, but I don't understand the reasoning behind it. I also noticed that she never tanned, and her skin always maintained the vitality of youth, white and delicate. This gave me an idea. I tried to analyze God's metal from the perspective of light and heat, but in the end, I found nothing. The content on the third page suddenly reminded Charlotte of Princess Yomei. She was afraid of the cold, and during the treasure hunt in Jerusalem, she even pestered him to take a hot bath with her. A guess emerged in his mind. Could it be that this she that Da Vinci mentioned is the same person as the Princess Yomei that I met? Da Vinci met a complete her, and I met an incomplete her. When the acid-based solution was dripped on the 4th page, new content emerged. She never told me what she fought for, and she never told me who her enemy was. She left the labyrinth again and again, and every time she returned, she was injured. She never gave up, but I couldn't help her. The last time she came back was a night without the moon and stars. This time, she was especially injured, and she lost her body. I can't understand how she can still exist, but God is like this. She told me that she was going to die, and she asked me to do something for her. After she left, I closed the labyrinth and finished what she asked me to do. I can't predict the future, and I don't want you to see this content. This is just an old man's soliloquy. And if you see it, and you wake her up, please tell her that I love her. Leonardo di Piero da Vinci. There was no content on the 5th page. Da Vinci couldn't help her repair her angel's sword in his life, and he obviously wouldn't record those failed experiments in such a notebook. The content hidden in the notebook reappeared, but Charlotte's heart still couldn't calm down. Now, Charlotte was almost sure that the she that Da Vinci met was the complete Princess Young May, but Da Vinci didn't say what she asked him to do before she died. And the thing he wanted to figure out the most was whether any of the things she asked Da Vinci to do were related to the AE capsule, the ancient alloy box, the bronze treasure book, the compass. These unsolved problems once again emerged in Charlotte's mind, and he also had a deep sense of powerlessness. Da Vinci and she obviously failed. Da Vinci couldn't solve these mysteries in his life, and she who was as powerful as an angel finally died. Everything he experienced, everything he did, was it just a repeat of history? Was it also destined to fail? Ring, ring, ring. Ring, ring, ring. In the quiet underground laboratory, a cell phone suddenly rang. This ringtone startled Charlotte. He subconsciously took out his cell phone, and when he looked at the screen, he was stunned. There was no number on it. Charlotte slid the answer button. Who is it? Inhale, inhale. Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. It's her. The woman who called him in Paris and asked him to escape. Who are you? This oxygen mask is so awkward. A girl's voice came from the phone in Italian. The voice was slightly immature, giving the impression that she was not even 18 years old. Who are you? Charlotte couldn't care less about the oxygen mask. He needed an answer, a definite answer. Okay, I'm ready. Are you ready? The girl's voice. I ready for what? Forget it. I'll find you. Hey, who are you? Beep, 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 beep. There was only the busy tone on the phone. Charlotte was still holding the phone, standing there like a block of wood, and didn't move for a long time. Chapter 741. The light of dawn pierced through the darkness, and the earth woke up. A magpie perched on a magnolia by the window. It combed its feathers and chirped at the window. It's that damn magpie again. Does she want to have a grudge against the person who sleeps in? On the big bed in the room, Sylvia grabbed something and threw it at the window. Smack! A palm suddenly landed on Sylvia's perky buttocks. Sylvia opened her eyes and saw Anina staring at her. She was stunned for a moment and asked in surprise, "Why did you hit me? What does that damn magpie have to do with you?" Anina pointed at the bra that fell under the window and said innocently, "Of course I hit you. Use your bra to smash it. Why did you pull mine off and smash it?" Sylvia looked at the bra hanging under the window and then looked at Anina's exposed snowball in the air. She suddenly realized that the thing that she grabbed and threw out was Anina's bra. There is only one person in this world who wouldn't be punished for pulling Anina's bra, and that was Charlotte. Chirp, chirp, chirp. Chirp, 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 chirp. The magpie outside the window chirped even louder, as though it was here to cause trouble. Anina jumped off the bed angrily and pushed the window open. The golden sunlight shone in, and her towering snowy peaks were like Mount Everest 1 and Mount Everest 2 that suddenly appeared in the west of the city. Go away, damn stupid bird. Anina yelled at the magpie on the magnolia tree. The magpie flapped its wings and flew away. That seemed to be its real purpose. It wanted to use the noise to attract the blonde beauty out of the house, take a look at her breasts, and then flash away. Anina closed the window and picked up the bra that fell on the ground. She angrily used it to cover her 2 snowy peaks. Sylvia also climbed out of the bed. Damn it, I drank a little too much last night, and my head still hurts. Why did Charlotte make us drink so much? You idiot, can't you see? The 3 women all liked Charlotte, especially the one surnamed Tang. She even wanted to become Charlotte's wife. Charlotte is with those 3 women, plus the 2 of us. If he doesn't get us drunk, do you think he will get them drunk? You're the fool. What kind of logic is that? Those 3 women liked him, so he tried to get us drunk? What good will it do him to get me drunk? Will the 3 women sleep with him? Sylvia's logic wasn't exactly brilliant. Oriental women are too shy. Most Oriental women think that they're saints, so those 3 women probably won't sleep with Charlotte together, but they will sleep with Charlotte one by one. All right, what nonsense are we talking about? Are we going to waste our time on this nonsense? We have to get to work. The parts of Lei Ching are back, and the parts that need to be processed have also been processed. We have to assemble one to test its comprehensive performance. Sylvia looked for her pants and clothes in a hurry. Hey, that's my underwear. Then whose clothes are you wearing? Oh my God, when did you wear my underwear on your body? Only the cake seller knew what was going on, and only the cake seller knew how chaotic the lives of these 2 German women were. Half an hour later, the 2 German women came to the tank workshop. At this time, the workers hadn't come to work yet, but the 2 German women heard the clanking sounds coming from inside. Who's inside? Sylvia asked in surprise. How would I know? Anina shrugged. At this time, a man's voice came from the closed door of the workshop. What are you 2 still doing there? Come and help. The 2 German women looked at each other and laughed, because it was Charlotte's voice this time. The 2 German women entered the workshop and saw a large pile of finely processed parts and a Lei Ching that was 1/3 assembled. The Lei Ching was the tank and combat vehicle engine that they and Charlotte developed together. Some of the parts were imported from Russia and Ukraine, some were provided by domestic manufacturers, and the core part was produced by Rema Group's own production line. Once the Lei Ching was born, Rema Group's tanks and combat vehicles would also have a heart, but that would still take some time. Xia, didn't you sleep last night? Anina asked with concern. Sylvia also said, why didn't you call us if you were going to work overtime? You'll tire your body out like this. I'll tire my body out if I call you guys, Charlotte said. Anina? Question mark. Sylvia? Question mark. Charlotte smiled. All right, you 2, come and help. I've already processed the parts that need to be processed. You guys can start testing after assembling it. Aren't you going to test them together? Sylvia asked. You're not going out to do something again, are you? Anina asked. Yes, I'm going to Shi Province, Charlotte said. Where is Shi Province? Of course, it's in the west of China. It's a plateau with a lot of cows. Do you have steak? I have a cow penis. Haha, Charlotte, you bad guy. Are you still not satisfied with your size? Is this your secret signal to get intimate with us? Charlotte's dirty words attracted the 2 German women's attacks, and he couldn't take it anymore. The 2 German women joked with Charlotte as they took off their clothes. They completely treated Charlotte as air and changed their work clothes in front of him. They didn't mind that Charlotte was looking at their private parts. However, joking was just joking. Once they started working, the 2 German women seemed to have changed into different people. Their work attitude and efficiency were all labeled as German. Charlotte also threw himself into work. He rarely did anything himself now, and this kind of work would bring back some memories. Some of his past experiences and feelings were a little distant to him now, and they were getting more and more precious. When it was time to go to work, the workers in the tank workshop came in one after another. There was another person who didn't work in the tank workshop, Tang Yuyin. Tang Yuyin looked concerned. I went to your house to look for you, but your dad said you came to the company. You're really a busy person. We're about to leave for Shi Province, but you still have to work overtime in the workshop. What if you tire yourself out? Do you think those women will love you? No, there's only one woman who loves you and cares about you. Before Tang Yuyin could finish, Anina, who had a certain level of Chinese, interrupted her. Miss Tang, can't you just say that you care about our chairman Xia? If you love him, you have to say it out loud. Tang Yuyin was stunned. Sylvia continued Tang Yuyin's words and said in broken Chinese, If you want to have sex with him, you have to say it out loud. Several black lines appeared on Tang Yuyin's forehead. Charlotte smiled awkwardly. MHM, let's go. Before Tang Yuyin could say anything, he pulled Tang Yuyin away. Tang Yuyin turned around. You two work hard and work overtime. I'll get Charlotte to give you a raise later. The heiress of the Tang family wasn't someone who was easy to deal with. She had been hit on the head twice, so she was definitely going to pay for it. Who does she think she is? Charlotte's wife? She's AB*TCH. If she pisses me off, I'll give birth to a blonde baby for Charlotte. She doesn't have to have blonde hair if she's a mixed blood. She could have black hair too, said Sylvia. Anina looked at her best friend and didn't say anything for at least 30 seconds. Tang Yuyin couldn't hear the conversation between the two German women. Luckily, she couldn't, or it would have been a big fight. Wait for me. I'll go get some luggage, Charlotte said to Tang Yuyin when they reached the parking lot. No need. I've packed everything, Tang Yuyin said with a smile. You've even packed mine? Tang Yuyin pointed at a car parked in the parking lot. Xia Lei's gaze followed the direction of her slender finger, and in that instant, his entire body felt unwell. It was an imported Ford RV, a top-tier luxury E450. Driving such a car to Xi province would save money on hotel rooms, because everything could be solved in the car. There was no need to worry about the off-road performance of such a car. It could do both in the grasslands and in the Gobi Desert. But the car wasn't the problem. The problem was why it was an RV. Driving such a car to Xi province, was it a honeymoon or a mission? Come with me. Tang Yuyin took Charlotte's hand and walked to the Ford RV. Charlotte followed Tang Yuyin into the RV. He was in a bad mood again. This RV was a custom-made car, and the interior was extremely luxurious. There was not only a bedroom, a living room, a bathroom, a kitchen, and even a bathroom. This RV could not be bought without a few million yuan, but it was a drop in the bucket for the Tang family. I'll go get the car. You take a shower and have a rest. Tang Yuyin smiled very gently, looking very considerate. Charlotte couldn't resist her smile. I have to bring some clothes, right? Tang Yuyin opened a small closet decorated with murals, and there were several sets of men's clothes hanging in it, including black suits, khaki outdoor jackets, hiking pants, and casual clothes. He could wear anything he wanted. In addition to men's clothes, there were women's clothes in the small closet, including formal wear, outdoor wear, and casual wear. There were also bras, underwear, and so on. Finally, he saw an unopened underwear box in the corner of the closet, and the pattern on it was a black dove. Maybe she noticed that Charlotte saw something. Tang Yuyin closed the closet door and said awkwardly, "Do whatever you want. I'm going to get the car. If I'm tired, I'll call you and you can drive." Charlotte nodded. Okay. After a pause, he suddenly thought of something and asked, "By the way, which one of you is in charge of this operation? Do I listen to your command, or do you listen to mine?" Tang Yuyin rolled her eyes at Charlotte and said quickly, "Of course, you listen to my command. I'm the section chief, and you're just an advisor. If you don't listen to my command, do you expect me, the section chief, to listen to your advisor's command?" Charlotte, what kind of terrorists were they going to deal with in this mission? This was the most important question, but Charlotte was too lazy to ask. Whoever he loved was a terrorist. This was probably just a trip that he could leave at any time. Chapter 742. When he woke up, the scenery outside the window had changed. Shrouded in the night was a green grassland, dotted with purple alfalfa and yellow chrysanthemum flowers, like patterns on a carpet. Further away was a rolling mountain range. The foot of the mountain and the mountainside were lush green, but the peak was covered in pure white snow. Even at night, the sky was blue, clean, and spotless. People seemed to be so close to the sky that they could reach out and pluck the stars. This kind of scenery could not be seen in the capital or Haizhu. Charlotte climbed out of bed. Do, his cell phone rang. After returning to China, Charlotte always carried two phones with him. One was an ordinary public phone that anyone could call. The other was a secret satellite phone that only the members of the Zodiac Squad knew about. The phone that was ringing now was the secret satellite phone. Charlotte picked up the phone. It's me. Speak. Boss, we're behind you, about half an hour's drive away. Amanda's voice came through. If it's inconvenient for you to do something, we'll do it for you. Who's coming? This time, Charlotte did not let the Zodiac Squad follow, so he did not know how many members of the Zodiac Squad followed him. Me, Bagu, Pu Taiyong, and Marcus. Alessio's injury hasn't recovered yet, and Erdemu's mother is seriously ill. He went back to his hometown to see her, Anina said. Got it. Keep your distance. Don't let the people on Innings 101 discover you, Charlotte said. Got it. Amanda hung up. The reason why Charlotte did not let the Zodiac Squad follow him was because this was an operation on Innings 101. If they got involved, there would only be disadvantages. However, the members of the Zodiac Squad still followed him. For the sake of protecting him, he would not refuse such kindness. 2 minutes later, Charlotte arrived at the driver's seat. Tang Yuyin looked very tired. She blinked her big eyes and looked like she was about to fall asleep at any time. But as soon as Charlotte entered the driver's seat, she immediately became energetic. She said with a smile, "You are really a lazy pig. You sleep from morning to night. I wanted to ask you to change me, but I couldn't bear to disturb your sleep." Charlotte was a little touched. Regardless of her motives, she was actually quite a nice person. She had a face, a figure, a pair of long legs, and knew kung fu. His mind was filled with strange thoughts, but he wouldn't feel bored when he was with her. Coupled with the Tang family's wealth and status, they were definitely a match made in terms of social status. However, it was the Tang family's reputation that made him shrink back. The rules of the Tang family that had lasted for hundreds of years, the Tang family's interests, the Tang family's camp, these factors would make him give up on the idea of being together with Tang Yuyin, even if Tang Yuyin was really attractive. Then let me drive. You go to bed and have a rest, Charlotte said. I don't want to sleep. I'll talk with you. Tang Yuyin stopped the car and climbed into the passenger seat. Xiaolei continued to drive the car forward. He saw that the destination marked on the navigator was a small town called Tavong at the southern end of Shi province. That area was close to the Indian-controlled area. That area had been the territory of China since the Han Dynasty, and India had occupied that land. The current location of the car was still 300 kilometers away from the destination. At the current speed, it would probably take 5 hours to reach the destination. The destination was located in a special geographical location. Charlotte couldn't help but feel puzzled. He tentatively asked, Yu Yin, is there really a mission? Of course there's a mission. Otherwise, what do you think we are doing? Eloping? Charlotte was a little speechless. He secretly said in his heart, it's really not a vacation. If it's a vacation, we should go to Potala Palace. Now we're going to a small town in the south of Shi province. It must be a mission. A mission is a mission, but old man sure asked me to bring a camera. Is he kidding me? I'll take a picture of his head. Tang Yin patted Charlotte's shoulder. Don't worry, there won't be a problem. You are now a national treasure. If Godfather dares to send you here, then this mission will definitely not be dangerous. Godfather has arranged everything, and we're just waiting for you to add flowers to the brocade. Charlotte smiled. Did he still need this kind of additional flowers to the brocade? He had contributed so much to this country that he could casually take out any one of them and smash a few people flat. If it was really this kind of additional flowers to the brocade, then he really had time to play. Potala Palace, sure gaze, and so on. Thinking about it this way, he really misunderstood old man Sure. But at this moment, Tang Yuyin's hand that patted his shoulder slipped down and gently rested on Charlotte's thigh. Charlotte's thigh inexplicably tightened. He couldn't help but guess what she wanted to do. Hello. Tang Yuyin shook Charlotte's thigh. Tell me, if I really elope with you, would you dare to do it? Was this the rhythm of truth or dare? Charlotte's head suddenly went numb. Yuyin, can you stop joking like this? Tang Yuyin glared at Charlotte. Do I look like I'm joking with you? Charlotte didn't even look at her. He drove while looking at the road. Hee, if you elope with me, I'm afraid old man Tang will issue a kill order. Your father, and your brother will definitely kill me. And your mother is also a martial arts master, right? If I abduct her precious daughter, will she spare me? Martial arts alliance leader? Alliance leader my ass. Tang Yuyin forcefully pinched Charlotte's thigh. Her eyes were fierce. I just want to hear one thing from you. If I elope with you, would you dare to do it? What's the name of that mountain in front? It looks so majestic. Ah. With a cry of pain, Charlotte lowered his head and saw a white jade-like claw grabbing the muscle next to the root of his thigh. It was so close to capturing the king. He didn't know if she used the Tang Sek's tendon dislocation technique or the steel-breaking technique. In short, it hurt. Do you know how many days it took me to persuade my godfather to let you follow me on this mission? The more Tang Yuyin spoke, the more agitated she became. In the past, I wouldn't lower myself to chase after you because you're married to Tianyin. But you've already divorced her and you're single. What are you waiting for? It's fine if you don't take the initiative, but now that I'm taking the initiative, are you going to hide from me? How long are you going to hide from me? Let go. I'm not letting go. How am I going to drive if you don't let go? Don't change the subject. I'm not pulling the handbrake. Charlotte was speechless. Say it. If you don't explain yourself today, I'll confiscate your tools. Charlotte didn't know whether to laugh or cry. All right, I do owe you an explanation. Let's have a good chat. Can you let go first? Only then did Tang Yuyin let go. She pretended to be calm and nonchalant, but her ears were already red. After all, even though she wasn't grabbing the handbrake, it was right beside her. Just that aura alone was enough to make her flustered and afraid. Yuyin, after I divorce Tianyin, I don't plan to marry any other woman. I know you treat me well, but after that experience, I'm tired and my heart is broken. I don't want to go through it again. Tianyin lied to you, but do all women lie to you? There's one more. You forgot. Liang Xiao? Liang Xiao and Tianyin are the same kind of trash. How can you compare me to them? Tang Yuyin glared at Charlotte. All the women in the Tang sect are unyielding and loyal women. If I lied to you, you don't have to teach me a lesson. Our Tang family will punish me. Yuyin, it's not about lying or not. It's about, Tang Yuyin interrupted Charlotte. That's an excuse you found for yourself. I won't listen to it. Charlotte sighed. Yuyin, why can't you understand? I don't want to get married. You don't want to get married? You just want to fool around with those women. Those two German women, Long Bing, and that woman from your hometown called Jiang Rui. Don't deny it. I, Tang Yuyin, am not a woman who can be easily deceived. Charlotte, you're abandoning yourself. Don't you want a family? A beautiful and generous wife, a lively and adorable son, and a smart and beautiful daughter? You're earning so much money. If you don't want children, who are you earning it for? You're right, but no buts. I can forgive you for your past. I don't care who you were with in the past, as long as you don't cheat on me after we get married. It wasn't easy for the Tang Sek's Missy to be so forgiving. Charlotte knew her very well, and his heart was filled with gratitude. However, marrying her would mean cutting off his relationship with Long Bing and Jiang Rui. Putting aside Sylvia and Anina, it wouldn't matter even if he cut off his ambiguous relationship with them. Western women were open-minded to begin with, and breaking up and changing partners wasn't a big deal. However, Long Bing and Jiang Rui were different. He couldn't and didn't dare to hurt their hearts. I've already said it to this extent. Are you still going to remain silent? Tang Yuyin's tone changed. She was very sad, and there was a layer of mist in her eyes. Charlotte was silent for a moment before he said, You know that I'm involved with so many women, and you still want to marry me. Aren't you a moth flying into a flame? I'm no longer pure. I don't deserve you. I don't want a virgin. I want a man with an indomitable spirit. I want a husband. The mist in her eyes became even thicker. Charlotte was most afraid of women crying. His hardened heart softened a little. Give me some time. This is a matter of a lifetime. Do you want me to make a decision in a few minutes? How long do you want? 3 years. F***CKU. You can have a good time for 3 years, but I'll stay chaste for you for 3 years. Do you think I'm an idiot? How many 3 years does a woman have? Then 1 year. No. End of the year. You have to give me an accurate answer at the end of the year. Are you going to marry me or not? If you don't marry me, I'll marry someone else. I won't wait for you. Tang Yuyin said. All right, there must be a lot of people pursuing you. Tell me who they are, and I'll help you pick one that's 10 times better than me. Tang Yin suddenly reached out and went straight for it. Ah! A scream suddenly burst out from the Ford E450. It was said that a pain in the balls was more painful than a woman giving birth. Charlotte didn't know before, but now he knew. This wasn't a fair contest, because he couldn't find anything on Tang Yuyin that he could attack in the same way. It was noisy all the way, and the Ford E450 was also bumping along. 5 hours later, a small town on the plateau came into view. It was a typical small town in Shi province. There were brick buildings and round tents. There was a stone temple at the entrance of the town. The main hall had a sharp pillar that reached the sky. Countless prayer flags were hung on ropes, gently dancing in the night wind. This was Tavong Town. They had arrived at their destination. But for some reason, seeing this ordinary small town on the plateau, Charlotte felt a trace of uneasiness in his heart. Chapter 743. The Ford E450 stopped next to the temple. The sound of the car engine and the light of the headlights woke up several Tibetan mastiffs in the nearby houses. The dogs roared, as if to give the intruder a warning. Charlotte turned off the engine and the lights, and the Tibetan mastiffs gradually calmed down. There was no light in the town, and it was very quiet. It gave people the feeling that it was an uninhabited town. There were some lights in the temple, but they were not electric lights. They were everlasting lamps for worshiping the gods, and there were wishing lamps lit by the believers. "Where is the target?" Charlotte asked. "Come with me." Tang Yin got up and walked to the car. Charlotte also left the driver's seat and followed her into the car. He thought she would stop in the living room of the RV, but Tang Yin went straight into the small bedroom. Charlotte hesitated and stood near the door, not knowing whether to go in or not. Tang Yin poked her head out of the door. "What are you doing? Are you afraid that I will eat you?" "Don't worry. Tang Yin, am not the kind of woman who will take off her pants just to be with you." Charlotte smiled bitterly and still didn't move. Experience told him that Tang Yin's words could only be believed in 2 out of 10 words. Tang Yin's mouth curled up into a contemptuous smile. "Are you afraid that you can't control yourself? You can date several women at the same time. Can't you have fun? Your self-control in that aspect must be very strong. So what are you worried about? I'm not the kind of playboy you think I am, and I'm not the kind of man who wants to sleep with beautiful women." Charlotte walked in. He and Long Bing had a relationship of life and death. He and Jiang Rui grew up playing in the mud together. She waited for him for more than 20 years. This was a relationship of childhood sweethearts. Tang Yin said that he was playing, which made him a little uncomfortable. Weren't they just staying in the same room? Why did she have to make it sound so bad? "So what if I go in? Are you going to eat me?" Tang Yin's lips curled into a smile. She took off her shoes, climbed into bed, and turned on an LCD TV on the wall. It was not an LCD TV, but a very large monitor. After it was awakened, a surveillance image appeared on the screen. Charlotte didn't go to bed. Instead, he sat by the bed and watched the surveillance footage. It was a small building on the west side of the town. It had stone walls, floral windows, and a prayer banner hanging from the roof. It was a typical Tibetan house. The doors and windows of the small building were tightly shut. There was no light, and no one was moving around inside. "You're just going to show me this?" Charlotte couldn't see anything wrong with it. It was just an ordinary building. Tang Yin crawled under the monitor and picked up a remote control. She pressed the green button on the remote control and said, "Show yourselves." There were movements in a few places on the monitor. Charlotte saw a sniper in disguise. He was on the hillside behind the small building. The disguise on his body allowed him to blend in with the environment around him. It was very difficult to find him. He was holding an XL 2500 sniper rifle from the Rema Group. The weapons of the Rema Group had already become the #1 choice in 101 innings. In front of the sniper, there were 2 agents holding Gale assault rifles on each side of the wall of the small building. They were clearly acting as ambushers. In an alley directly opposite the door, there were also 2 agents holding Gale assault rifles. 7 agents had sealed off the small building and cut off all possible escape routes for the terrorists. With the firepower of an XL 2500 sniper rifle and 6 Gale assault rifles in their hands, even an elite U.S. Marine Corps operation team would have to lie down, let alone a few terrorists. The 7 agents revealed themselves and returned to their respective hiding places. They listened to Tang Yuyin's orders. They were all Tang Yuyin's people. Charlotte smiled bitterly. This place, including the terrorists hiding inside, has been locked down. What am I doing here? That was indeed the case. Now, all they needed was a simple order from Tang Yuyin, and the 7 agents would rush in and settle everything. He rushed here from the capital. The only thing he could do was probably watch the agents complete their mission through the surveillance screen. Tang Yuyin crawled toward Charlotte. It was a short distance, and her movements were very slow. Her voluptuous but wrapped in jeans was plump and tight, shaped like a ripe peach. Her snow-white skin was exposed from the collar of her t-shirt. Her skin was as white as snow. A deep ravine started from the mouth of the Lotus Peak and extended downwards. However, it disappeared after a short distance, leaving only a Y shape. If she was a dog, she would be the prettiest dog. Charlotte didn't know where to put his gaze. He had seen Tang Yuyin's body more than once or twice, but her allure was still so strong. Her current movements and the look in her eyes made him inexplicably nervous and very awkward. "What are you doing?" When Tang Yuyin crawled to his side, Charlotte couldn't help but ask. His butt also moved a little to the side. Tang Yuyin handed the remote control in her hand to Charlotte. "Take it. Whenever you want to end the mission, you can give the order. Then what are you waiting for?" Charlotte reached out to take the remote control. Tang Yuyin's hand suddenly loosened. The remote control slipped from her hand and smashed right in front of Charlotte's legs. "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it." Tang Yuyin hurriedly reached out to take the remote control. How could Charlotte fall for a trick? He was one step ahead of her. At the same time, he raised his elbow and sealed Tang Yuyin's soft hand. Tang Yuyin's other hand suddenly penetrated through Charlotte's opening and grabbed Charlotte's collar. Charlotte's other hand cut horizontally and grabbed Tang Yuyin's wrist. Tang Yuyin's body suddenly moved to the side and escaped from Charlotte's grasp. She suddenly raised one of her long legs that was kneeling on the bed and swept Charlotte's shoulder. Charlotte's rope fell backward, and he lay on the bed. That long leg almost brushed past his face. Not only did he see the jade foot wrapped in the sock, but he also smelled a faint fragrance. Umph! Tang Yuyin's hands pushed against the mattress. Her body rose from the bed, and like an eagle swooping down on its prey, she flew above Xia, lay, and pressed down. Charlotte could have kicked up. This was also the easiest way to resolve this move. But was that something a man could do? It was also in this few tenths of a second of hesitation that Tang Yuyin's body fell solidly on his body. Soft and heavy, wonderful and painful. At this moment, his feelings were extremely complicated. Tang Yuyin didn't miss this opportunity. Her feet wrapped around Charlotte's waist, and her hands went around Charlotte's arms and locked Charlotte's neck. This kind of move was called a deep cross lock in UFC cage fighting. The fighter who was locked by this fighting technique could hit the ring floor and admit defeat. The duel between Wing Chun Kung Fu and Tang Sek Kung Fu was over, but the atmosphere in the bedroom became silent and ambiguous. The two people looked at each other and didn't speak for at least 30 seconds. What do you want to do?" At the 31st second, Charlotte finally couldn't hold back, and he opened his mouth to break the silence. Tang Yuyin had a smile on the corner of her mouth. "We haven't really fought yet. Why don't we do it?" "Okay, let's get out of the car and fight." "Let go of me," Charlotte said. "You wish." "Charlotte, tell me, how did Long Bing seduce you? How did you sleep with her?" "Boring. We're just friends and colleagues." "Bah, you just admitted it." "When did I admit it? Is there a recording? Let me hear it." "Shameless." Tang Yuyin bit her cherry lips. "Then let me ask you, how did Chinda Tianyin seduce you? How did you sleep with her? Are you crazy? Why are you asking such a question?" "Is that so?" Tang Yuyin used her body to press against Charlotte's body. She locked Charlotte's body, and this kind of compression became an omnidirectional compression. She exerted force, and Charlotte suddenly had some difficulty breathing. But in addition to the slight difficulty in breathing, it was more of a provocative sense of excitement, especially his lower abdomen. He could feel the heat in her hot pants. That faint heat quickly ignited his fire. A fire ignited in his lower abdomen, quietly burning, and then triggered a series of chemical reactions. Tang Yuyin seemed to feel something. She blushed and spat. "Pervert, what are you thinking about?" She came to fan the fire, and the fire was ignited, but she still pretended to be innocent and ignorant. This was really the highest realm of ignition. "Let go of me, or you'll regret it," Charlotte said. His body had evolved to this point, but his ability to restrain himself in that aspect didn't become stronger. Instead, it became weaker. He had to end this deadly seduction before he couldn't control himself. "I won't let go. What do you do to me? What do you dare to do to me?" Tang Yuyin provoked. Charlotte suddenly lifted his leg, and his thigh hit Tang Yuyin's butt. Tang Yuyin let out a soft cry, and her body fell forward. With the cross lock undone, his upper body regained its mobility. His hands suddenly pushed and immediately pushed Tang Yuyin out, causing her to fall onto the bed. At that moment, he turned around and pressed down. And Tang Yuyin let out a muffled groan, bearing all of Charlotte's weight. But without waiting for Charlotte to make any moves to subdue her, her legs suddenly wrapped around his waist, once again locking down. Close contact, that heat still existed, and it was invading the most sensitive part. The fire in his lower abdomen suddenly became more intense. Tang Yuyin suddenly raised her neck and kissed Charlotte's lips. Drywood met a raging fire, and they even poured oil in advance. This lingering wet kiss was like a lit match in an oil depot, and it immediately exploded. Charlotte's heart no longer had any scruples about the Tang sect or future plans. He was like a wild horse that had been starving for a few days and suddenly found a fertile place with water and grass. His actions could be summed up in one word: nibble, 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 nibble. In the chaotic entanglement, Tang Yuyin's denim hot pants were undone, and they slid down to her knees. Charlotte's eyes were red as he moved closer. "Marry me." Tang Yuyin murmured, "Let's get married." Charlotte suddenly froze. His body yearned for all the beauty in front of him, but his rationality quickly sobered up. He was having fun now, but what about in the future? Tang Yuyin had already made it very clear. She could clear up his past affairs, but after being with her, he couldn't be entangled with any other women. She wanted a man of indomitable spirit. She wanted a husband, not a lover. In fact, she didn't say it out loud. She wanted a pillar of support for the Tang family. A moment of flirtation and a lifetime of shackles. Charlotte's heart was suffering. Tang Yuyin looked at Charlotte anxiously. She was so nervous that she even forgot to breathe. But at this moment, a man in a monk's robe appeared on the monitor on the wall. The man was very tall and very strong. However, he was wearing a monk's hat on his head, and there was a black veil hanging from the bottom of the hat, so his face couldn't be seen at all. Suddenly, an agent's voice came through the communicator. "Boss, an unknown target has appeared. An unknown target has appeared. What should we do? What should we do?" Chapter 744. Tang Yuyin didn't seem to hear the voice of her men. At this critical moment, a memory that she didn't want to do had all appeared in her mind one day ago. In the ancestral hall of the Tang sect, in Shu, Tang Yuyin burned incense and lit candles for the ancestors of the Tang family with a solemn face, and then knelt down. Tang Yunhai looked at his granddaughter dotingly, with a trace of hope, gratification, and joy in his eyes. After kowtowing, Tang Yuyin stood up from the futon and said with a smile, "Grandpa, I'm going back to the capital. Call me if you miss me." Tang Yunhai nodded. "Your godfather called me. Is he urging me to go back?" "Really, he doesn't love me at all. He always wants me to do things. If you want to take over his position, of course you have to pay, and you have to pay more than others. But that's not what he called. He said that Charlotte would be back soon." Tang Yuyin's mouth suddenly showed a trace of a smile, but she said, "What does it have to do with me? If he comes back, he will come back. Tang Yunhai snorted and gave her a supercilious look. You smiled as soon as you heard that he was coming back. Do you think I'm blind and can't see it? Grandpa, Tang Yin stamped her feet, looking like a spoiled child. All right, don't act like this. Tang Yunhai's expression became serious. This time, he exchanged the avionics technology of the French Rafale fighter jet and the stealth technology for the country. Not only did he make a great contribution, but he also got the Lima Group to be exempted from the loan of more than 20 billion yuan. Amazing. Our Tang family has been around for hundreds of years. Why can't we have such a talent like him? Grandpa, it's useless to envy him. I'm afraid our Tang family won't have a genius like him in hundreds of years. Tang Yuyin said, Our Tang family can't have a genius like him. Don't you know how to make him one of our Tang family? Tang Yuyin's face suddenly became gloomy. She wanted to, but he didn't. Between her and Charlotte, one had the goddess's interest, while the other had King Xiang's dreams. After Charlotte returns from France and gets rid of the shackles of loans, his development will be even faster. I asked our family's appraiser to do some calculations. Do you know what conclusion he gave me? What conclusion? Tang Yuyin was also full of curiosity. He told me that Rema Group would become the largest military-industrial group in China and Asia within 3 years. In 4 years, Rema Group would catch up with the world's largest military giant, Lockheed Martin Corporation, and Charlotte's assets would reach 100 billion yuan. Not in RMB, but in USD. Tang Yuyin's jaw dropped, unable to close. At the time, I doubted what he said, but he told me that according to the information and data I gave him, his estimate was the most conservative estimate. If Charlotte still has some secret technology in his hands, his estimate will be realized ahead of time. Tang Yunhai sighed and lamented. Our Tang family's development for hundreds of years can't be compared to his development in just a few years. It's really sad. Grandpa, it's useless for you to feel sentimental. He's really special. It's impossible for our Tang family to have such a talent like him. Tang Yuyin comforted. Don't you understand what I'm talking about? He raised the level of the entire country's military industry with his own strength. His credit is unprecedented. He has more political capital than all the politicians in the Tang family put together. How could our Tang family miss out on such a genius who is well-versed in both the pen and the sword? I know what you want to say, Grandpa, but he's hiding from me. I can't shut up. Tang Yunhai interrupted her and sternly said, I'm not joking with you. This is the patriarch's order. Kneel down. Tang Yuyin knelt down with a plop. Hearing the order from the patriarch, her expression became solemn. If you marry Charlotte and make Charlotte a member of our Tang family, I won't say how many times our Tang family's capital will be multiplied. But once he becomes a member of our Tang family, the political capital we'll get will be immeasurable. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for our Tang family to become one of the top families in China in the past hundreds of years. This matter is related to the Tang family's prosperity and fate, and it's not a trifling matter. I order you now, no matter what you do, you must marry Xia Lei. Tang Yuyin nodded without a word. Tang Yunhai's palm fell on Tang Yuyin's head. Remember, he's now in the final stage of his entrepreneurial stage. He has accumulated enough energy and will soon soar. This is your last chance. In the future, when he grows stronger and becomes one of the top businessmen in Asia, controlling the lifeline of the country's military industry and accumulating countless merits, how many outstanding women will take the initiative to throw themselves at him? How many can you win? Grandpa, Tang Yuyin wanted to say something but hesitated. I don't want excuses. I just want results. He's hiding from you. But you don't know how to take the initiative to find him? If Shinta Tianin can do it, how can you not do it? I don't believe you can't even compare to Shinta Tianin. I've already spoken to your godfather. Once Xia Lei returns, he'll arrange a mission for the two of you, and only the two of you will carry it out. You know what to do, right? Tang Yuyin bit her cherry lips and gently nodded. She blushed and felt her face heating up now. She was about to succeed, but a man wearing a monk's robe suddenly appeared. This was simply a blow to her head, and a bucket of ice water was poured from her head to toe. Based on the situation just now, she only needed to put in a little more effort and Charlotte would be trapped. She knew Charlotte very well. She was sure that Charlotte would not be able to escape from the palm of her hand. Now that it had become such a situation, how could she not be depressed? How could she accept it? Head? 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 What should we do? The agent's voice came from the communication device again, full of anxiety and worry. Charlotte hurriedly got up from her body. Let's go and have a look. Tang Yuyin sighed in her heart. She wanted to die and wanted to kill someone. No need, it's just a small situation. My men can handle it. Tang Yuyin grabbed the communicator and pressed the launch button. Stop that guy and take him under control for now. We'll interrogate him later. The rest of you break the door and capture him. If there's any resistance, kill without mercy. Roger. On the monitor, an agent hiding in a dark alley suddenly rushed out with a gun aimed at the man in the monk's robe. As he approached him, he shouted in a low voice, "Stop and don't move." The man in the monk's robe stopped woodenly and faced the agent approaching him. Since he couldn't see his face, he naturally couldn't see his expression at the moment. The agent soon came to the man in the monk's robe. Take off your hat. The man in the monk's robe slowly raised his hand and was about to take off his hat. Tang Yuyin's eyes had already left the monitor. She hugged Charlotte from behind and gasped in his ear. Do you want to slip away like this? You wish. Do you think you can slip away from the Tang family's women just because you want to play with them? No, it's a misunderstanding. It's a misunderstanding. Charlotte braced himself to explain. I said you would give me an answer at the end of the year, but just now, I'm your girlfriend now, right? Tang Yuyin's hands tightly hugged Charlotte's waist, not giving him a chance to leave. But at this moment, Charlotte's eyes fell on the monitor. After a glance, he suddenly said nervously, Quick, get your people to shoot him. Tang Yuyin was stunned for a moment. She didn't know if Charlotte was trying to trick her into letting go of him. At this moment, the man in the monk's robe on the monitor suddenly waved his hand and cut the agent's neck. He was so fast that the agent couldn't dodge at all. By the time he reacted, his throat had been cut and his carotid artery was bleeding profusely. The agent covered his neck and fell to the ground. Tang Yuyin pressed the launch button on her communicator and roared, Shoot him. No one fired. The 6 agents seemed to be asleep and couldn't hear Tang Yuyin's orders. If he were at the scene, Charlotte could see the real situation, but his left eye was facing an LCD screen and he couldn't do anything. However, although he couldn't see, his experience gave him a conclusion. Your people have been killed by the enemy's sniper. It's not just one sniper, there are at least 6 of them. 6 people shot at the same time and killed 6 targets at the same time. Moreover, they were agents from Floors 101. These were not ordinary terrorists. They were not terrorists at all. The situation was complicated and critical. Tang Yuyin took a deep breath and chased the messy thoughts out of her head. Then she lay down on the bed, stretched out her legs, and put on her jeans and hot pants. She tidied herself up and said, The gun is under the bed. Take it. I'll call for reinforcements immediately. Charlotte found an ammunition box under the bed and dragged it out. The ammunition box contained 2 XL 2500 sniper rifles, 2 Gale assault rifles, and some ammunition. He picked up one of the XL 2500 sniper rifles. A familiar feeling came over him, and the nervousness in his heart suddenly lessened. On the monitor, the door of the small building suddenly opened, and 6 gunmen walked out. They were all in mountain combat gear, and they were all holding the same TAR-21 assault rifle. It was an assault rifle jointly developed by Israel's IMI Company and Bear Company. It was also one of the few competitors of the Gale assault rifle. Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. These guys aren't terrorists. They have more than 6 snipers. Including the guy who killed your men with a blade, they have at least 13 people. Tang Yuyin had already packed up. Don't worry, we have a military base here, about 30 kilometers away. I'll contact the person in charge of the military base immediately. Our soldiers will come over by helicopter. It'll only take a few minutes at most. None of these guys can escape. Hurry up and contact them, Charlotte urged. Tang Yuyin picked up her satellite phone, but when she saw the content on the screen, she was stunned. What's going on? Charlotte leaned over. Tang Yuyin's expression was solemn. There's an electronic jammer here. The signal can't be transmitted. Charlotte's heart sank. Sure, Boren would definitely not arrange a trap for him to jump into. To put it bluntly, this mission was actually to matchmake him with Tang Yuyin. Now that such a change had happened, there was only one possibility, and this was a trap. Who set this up? CIA? The FA organization? The Knights Hospitaller? Or that strange and mysterious black-robed killer? Charlotte's brain worked quickly, analyzing the situation in front of him. Bang! Suddenly, there was a loud noise. Chapter 745. With a loud bang, Charlotte pounced on Tang Yuyin and threw her to the ground. The Ford E450 shook violently. If there was no explosion, there would be no explosion of flames. The other party had only hit the tire, ending the two's option of driving away. Bang! The car shuddered, and another tire burst. The previous shot had hit the right rear tire of the car, and this shot had hit the left front tire of the car. If one rear tire was blown, the car could still move, but if both front and rear tires were blown, it would not be able to move. We're surrounded. Charlotte climbed up from Tang Yuyin's body. The other party had fired 2 shots, and he had also determined the location of the 2 snipers. There was a sniper on the left, and there was a sniper on the right. If he and Tang Yuyin went out, they would be sniped from either side. Are we going to die here? Tang Yuyin's tone had a hint of bitterness and unwillingness. No, don't worry, I'm here. Charlotte comforted her. I really regret bringing you here. You're too important to this country. I shouldn't have put you in danger. She wanted to tell Charlotte the truth, but she swallowed the words. She couldn't tell him the truth. Charlotte reached out and patted her face. Calm down. You're Tang Yuyin with 101 innings. Since when have you been scared by these people? Cheer up. Let's fight our way out together. But Tang Yuyin was obviously not in the right state. She looked at Charlotte blankly. Tell me, will you marry me? What kind of situation was this? She actually still had the mood to ask such a thing. Charlotte really wanted to slap her to wake her up, but he really couldn't do it. No man has ever touched me like you did. We've all done that. You have to be responsible for me. She looked very nervous. Charlotte's head started to hurt. I didn't go in there. That's still the same. She seemed to have turned into a fierce tiger. Don't try to cheat. Charlotte, bang, bang, bang. A gunshot rang out. More than a dozen assault rifle bullets pierced through the body of the car and stabbed into the car, shattering the glassware in the car. The sofa was also torn, and the feathers inside were flying everywhere. If they stay any longer, they would really die. Charlotte slung the Gale assault rifle on his back and took out the XL 2500 sniper rifle. His left eye moved slightly, and the body of the car that blocked his line of sight disappeared in an instant. His gaze quickly swept to the left and right, and he soon found his target. 4 fully armed ambushers flanked him from the left and right. Their movements were very fast, covering for each other, professional. In terms of military accomplishment, they were even better than the special forces. Who were these gunmen? Charlotte crawled towards the door. Tang Yuyin reached out and grabbed Charlotte's belt. Speak clearly before you fight. Charlotte suddenly slapped Tang Yuyin's full moon, and a crisp sound came from that plump and fleshy area, accompanied by a beautiful ripple. You. Tang Yuyin looked at him in disbelief. You hit me. Slap. It would have been better if she hadn't said it, but the moment she did, Charlotte slapped her full moon again, and this time, he used even more force. Tang Yuyin gritted her teeth like a little tiger. You really dare, Charlotte interrupted her. Don't think that I'm joking. If we delay any longer, we'll all die here. If you want to leave here alive, shut your mouth. Long-winded. The 2 slaps on the buttocks didn't subdue the Tang's sex misty, but the word long-winded had power, and Tang Yuyin immediately shut her mouth. Charlotte continued to crawl towards the door. After crawling through the door, he got close to the compartment, then extended the XL 2500 sniper rifle forward and quickly locked onto an ambusher on the left. You can't even see the target. Can you hit him? Tang Yuyin also crawled out. Charlotte said, I can judge his direction based on the trajectory. There are 2 on our left and 2 on our right. All 4 are ambushers. Listen to my command later. Stick your assault rifle out of the window and fire to the right, suppressing the advance of those 2. I'll deal with the 2 on the left. Remember, don't stick your head out. There are snipers on both sides, and sticking your head out is tantamount to suicide. Tang Yuyin's eyes widened in shock. She was a direct descendant of the Tang sect, and she was skilled in martial arts. At the same time, she was also a well-trained elite agent, and her military knowledge was far better than her peers. But even if she didn't know the situation outside the car, Charlotte's judgment was already so accurate. He didn't even lift his head and was ready to use the XL 2500 sniper rifle to shoot the opponent. This strength was more than just terrifying. Without waiting for Tang Yuyin to make more guesses, Charlotte's voice interrupted her thoughts. Get ready. Tang Yuyin rolled to the left side of the car window, tightly grasping the Gale assault rifle in her hand, ready to fire at any time. Fire, Charlotte said. Tang Yuyin jumped over the window with the Gale assault rifle in her hand and blindly fired without lifting her head. Bang, 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 bang. The bullets from the Gale assault rifle flew out one after another. The almost zero recoil made the body of the gun abnormally stable, and Tang Yuyin's hand wouldn't shake from the recoil, which reduced the shooting error. Therefore, even with this kind of blind shooting, the 2 ambushers on the right were suppressed, and they didn't dare to expose themselves to her firepower. The battle on the right also affected the 2 ambushers on the left. When the gunshots rang out, they instinctively dodged, but soon realized that the people in the car were only shooting at the right side. They quickly got up and sped up toward the Ford E450. As they ran, they fired at the Ford E450. A bullet passed through the metal sheet, brushed past Charlotte's shoulder, and hit the floor. Charlotte didn't even move. He stared at the metal sheet in front of him, and it looked like he was in a daze, but his brain was already quickly calculating all the data needed to shoot. The resistance of the metal sheet, the air resistance, the target's movement speed, the target's movement pattern. Bang, bang, bang. The 2 gunmen on the right fired back. A hail of bullets hit the body of the car, and sparks flew everywhere. Glass and plastic shards flew everywhere. This won't work. We have to rush out. Tang Yuyin was suppressed, and she hid under the sofa to avoid being hit by stray bullets. Bang! A gunshot rang out. The XL 2500 sniper rifle in Charlotte's hands finally fired. A bullet passed through the metal sheet, and, after a slight change in trajectory, it stabbed into the forehead of the gunman on the left who was at the front. Blood splattered everywhere, and the guy was sent flying, falling heavily to the ground. Half of his skull was swept away, and he died a horrible death. His companion clearly didn't expect this to happen, and it wasn't until his companion's brain and blood splattered on his face that he realized what had happened. But just as he was in a daze, another gunshot came from the Ford E450. Then he saw in horror that one of his ears had fallen to the ground. Attached to the ear was half of his cheek and a part of his brain. That was the last thing he saw. The second ambusher on the right also fell to the ground. Charlotte still needed to calculate when he fired the first shot, but he didn't need to calculate when he fired the second shot. The second bullet from the XL 2500 sniper rifle flew out from the bullet hole that the first shot made. Without the metal sheet to block and change in trajectory, killing the second ambusher was as easy as stepping on an ant. After finishing off the second one, Charlotte suddenly rolled on the ground. Gotcha! Just as he rolled away, an armor-piercing bullet penetrated through the metal sheet of the car, and it fiercely stabbed into the aluminum floor, leaving a hole in it. The enemy sniper had fired again. You killed them? Tang Yuyin looked at Charlotte in disbelief. 2 of them. Charlotte moved to her side, and he quickly moved the XL 2500 over the back of the sofa. As he adjusted the muzzle, he said, "You shoot blindly to the left. I'll take care of the 2 ambushers on the right." Okay. Tang Yuyin turned around, raised her gun, and blindly fired outside the window. Bullets flew out of the window one after another, and they flew toward an area that was thousands of meters away. The effective range of the Gale assault rifle was 1,000 meters, and its maximum range was at least 2,000 meters. It actually had the performance of some of the best sniper rifles on the market. It could even be said that it was a sniper rifle with the appearance of an assault rifle, and it had an extremely high rate of fire. Tang Yuyin used it to suppress the sniper hiding in the distance. The enemy really didn't dare to underestimate it. As expected, when Tang Yuyin fired blindly, the sniper hiding on the left was immediately suppressed, and he stopped shooting. He had actually fired blindly just now, but the blind shooting of a sniper rifle was obviously incomparable to that of an assault rifle. Bang! A gunshot rang out, and the ambusher on the left fell to the ground. With a headshot, he had left a lot of trouble for the makeup artist. The ambusher on the right turned around and ran. He didn't even see the person who fired, but his comrade's head was already blown up. This kind of battle was equivalent to him wearing a blindfold, and the enemy was wearing a scope. How could he fight? However, escaping was just wishful thinking. The second ambusher on the right had just taken 2 steps and was about to change his route to take a zigzag route when a bullet pierced the back of his head and flew out from his face. It was still a headshot, and it was completely unreasonable. Is it done? Tang Yuyin was very excited. Charlotte nodded. It's done. Let's rush out. Tang Yuyin got up and prepared to rush to the car door. Charlotte held her down. You're asking for it. The enemy's sniper is still alive. We'll die if we don't leave. When their reinforcements come, we won't be able to escape even if we want to. Tang Yuyin had her own judgment. Charlotte knew where the reinforcements she was talking about were. They were the 7 shooters who had taken out the 7 agents from Division 10. The enemy had 13 people, and he had taken out 4 of them, but there were still 9 of them. If one of the 9 people had a heavy weapon, such as a grenade launcher or rocket launcher, he and Tang Yuyin would be in grave danger. Even if the enemy didn't have such a weapon, they had enough sniper rifles. If they fired blindly at the car, he and Tang Yuyin would be in grave danger. It wasn't that he didn't know how dangerous it was, but if he rushed out now, it would be equivalent to exposing himself to the enemy's field of vision, which was no different from suicide. To make matters worse, the enemy's sniper was wearing a disguise. Up until now, he hadn't been able to find out where the enemy's sniper was hiding. However, at this extremely dangerous moment, a thought appeared in Charlotte's mind. Without hesitation, he suddenly got up and rushed to the kitchen. Chapter 746. When Charlotte came out of the kitchen, he had a bottle of kerosene in his hand. He poured the kerosene on the sofa, the carpet, and some plastic items. Then, he lit the sofa on fire with a lighter. With the help of kerosene, the sofa and carpet quickly burned. The leather and plastic products, as well as the sofa's stuffing, emitted thick smoke as they burned. Soon, the interior of the car was filled with smoke, and it quickly spread out, creating thick smoke to interfere with the sniper's line of sight and then escaping. This was Charlotte's plan. However, the sniper clearly guessed Charlotte's intentions. Before the smoke completely blocked their line of sight, a bullet penetrated the car door and shot in. It wasn't a bullet from a sniper rifle, but an assault rifle bullet. Compared to the bullets that blocked the exit just now, it was more powerful. I know a way out. Follow me. Tang Yuyin rushed to the bathroom. Charlotte followed her into the bathroom. Tang Yuyin used the handle of the Gale assault rifle to smash the toilet and the plastic storage tank that stored human waste. A hole that was barely big enough for them to crawl out appeared in front of them. Although it was a little dirty, they couldn't care less at this time. Tang Yuyin peeked at the cave entrance, then said, "You go out first." Charlotte pushed her butt. "Hurry up. Why are you being modest at this time?" Tang Yuyin turned around and glared at Charlotte. She wanted Charlotte to get out of danger first, so she asked Charlotte to go out first. However, Charlotte obviously didn't appreciate it and pushed her butt. However, it was obviously not the time to settle accounts. She first put down the XL 2500 sniper rifle and then climbed out of the hole. Charlotte also climbed out of the hole. Below the car was a meadow, and the dense weeds became a natural cover. Their bodies were hidden in the grass, and people in the distance couldn't see them at all. The two quickly climbed out of the car. Charlotte's eyes quickly swept around, and then he crawled to the right. In that direction, about 500 meters away, there was a dense forest. As long as he could get there, he and Tang Yuyin would be safe. Tang Yuyin followed Charlotte and climbed towards the forest on the right. Using both her hands and feet, she was very fast. When she stopped thinking about that incident, she returned to the original Tang Yuyin, calm and composed. The Ford E450 behind them was completely ablaze, and the flames lit up a large area. The thick smoke rose into the sky and moved towards the town along with the night wind. The gunfire continued, but it was much more sparse. The shooter only aimed at the car door, not giving Charlotte and Tang Yuyin a chance to escape. Charlotte turned his head to look into the distance, but under the circumstances where he didn't dare to stick his head out, he didn't realize how far away the enemy's reinforcements were. "Are they from the CIB?" Tang Yuyin asked softly as she crawled. In the process of exchanging fire, just now, she had already ruled out the possibility of the other party being a terrorist. They shouldn't be from the CIB. Charlotte recalled the process of killing the 4 assaulters. The 4 shooters were all Asians, and there are very few Asians in the CIB. Asians? West Asia? Their faces were painted, so I didn't see them clearly, Charlotte said. "I didn't even see what they looked like, but you saw the paint on their faces?" Tang Yuyin thought of something and was very surprised. Charlotte said, "The XL-2500 sniper rifle has a scope, okay? Don't make a fuss. Stop talking nonsense. We have to hurry." Tang Yuyin thought about it and agreed. The XL-2500 sniper rifle had a scope. If Charlotte hadn't seen the target through the scope, how could he have killed the 4 assaulters? She didn't ask any more questions and followed behind Charlotte as they crawled faster. The closer they got to the hillside, the denser the weeds became. Some weeds even grew to knee height. This provided better cover for Charlotte and Tang Yuyin. The two stopped crawling and moved stealthily in the grass. Boom! The fuel tank of the Ford E450 exploded, and the sound of the explosion was so loud that it sent flames into the sky. The shockwave of the explosion was pushed far away, and even Xia Lei and Tang Yuyin felt it. Charlotte, who was stealthily moving, stopped and looked back. In the flames, 8 fully armed gunmen appeared around the Ford E450. Not only were they all carrying TR-21 assault rifles, but they also carried Barrett M8821 sniper rifles on their shoulders. This sniper rifle had an effective range of 1,850 meters, and one shot could destroy a car's engine. The range and power were shocking, second only to the Rema Group's XL-2500 sniper rifle. With such weapons and equipment, they were definitely not terrorists who had sneaked in. Charlotte's gaze fell on the man in the monk's robe. He was the man who killed the agent of Innings 101 with a blade. His face was still covered with a black veil, but this time, Charlotte's gaze penetrated the black veil and saw his real face. It was an Asian face, very young, and looked very handsome. For some reason, when he saw this face, Charlotte felt a little familiar. This feeling confused him. "I seem to have seen this face before. Who is he?" Just as Charlotte's X-ray vision of the man in the monk's robe, the latter suddenly discovered something and pointed in the direction of the forest on the right. "SH*T. He found us. Run." Charlotte retracted his gaze and ran in the direction of the forest with his back bent. Tang Yuyin also sped up. Bang, bang, bang. Gunshots came from behind, and rifle bullets flew over their heads. The sound of bullets flying at high speed in the air made people nervous. Under the command of the leader in the monk's robe, the 8 gunmen rushed forward in a fan shape. As they ran at high speed, they fired blindly. Among the 8, there was a sniper in disguise. He was obviously the sniper who had blocked the left side just now. There were a total of 13 people on the other side. Charlotte killed 4 of them, and there were 9 left on the other side. There were 8 behind him, and one was naturally the sniper hiding in the forest on the right side. Charlotte was very clear about this, and he and Tang Yuyin were moving in the direction of the sniper. There was a sniper in front, and there were pursuers behind. This was still a dangerous situation. However, he and Tang Yuyin had no other choice. Being attacked from two sides made him give up the tempting idea of sniping the 8 pursuers. As he moved quickly, Charlotte's eyes were locked on the forest in front of him. He raised the ability of his left eye to the highest level. In his left eye's field of vision, the entire forest was under his surveillance. The level of surveillance was so high that he could even detect the movement of a leaf. Bullets flew everywhere. The forest was right in front of them. Suddenly, a clump of grass moved on the hillside in front of them. That hillside was also under Charlotte's left eye's field of vision. In the instant that the clump of grass moved, Charlotte had already reacted. His body suddenly leaned to the side, and in an instant Tang Yuyin fell to the ground. In the next second, broken grass and mud flew everywhere. A sniper rifle bullet pierced the grass. Charlotte didn't have time to roll off Tang Yuyin's body. He pressed down on Tang Yuyin and quickly raised his gun. His elbow pressed tightly against Tang Yuyin's chest, using that soft and innocent place as a part of the gun frame. Tang Yuyin looked at Charlotte in shock. She knew that she and Charlotte had just avoided the sniper's shot, but she didn't dare to believe that Charlotte would actually choose such a way to fight back. The world's most powerful sniper rifle, the Tang Sec's best healer. Could this be considered a strong combination? Bang! When Charlotte's elbow was fixed on Tang Yuyin's chest, the XL 2500 sniper rifle let out an angry roar. A bullet was fired from the muzzle, flying straight towards the bush on the opposite hillside. Of course, it wasn't grass, but the camouflage of the sniper hiding on that hillside. A second later, the bullet from the XL 2500 sniper rifle pierced into the bush. Blood, minced meat, and brain matter splattered everywhere. And a second ago, the sniper didn't even think that Charlotte had discovered his position, and he was still preparing to adjust the direction of the muzzle and shoot at Charlotte. His judgment was correct. A person couldn't even see the movement a kilometer away, let alone see a camouflaged sniper in the dark. But his judgment was also wrong, because his opponent was Charlotte. Over there, someone shouted from behind. It was actually in Japanese. Tang Yuyin didn't wait for Charlotte to get up from her body. She raised the Gale assault rifle in her hand, tilted the muzzle to a 25-degree angle, and then pulled the trigger in the direction of the sound. Bang, bang, bang. A magazine of bullets flew backward, and the grass and leaves flew everywhere. Tang Yuyin moved the muzzle. Her hands and her softness could also move. For Charlotte, the feeling was like lying on a vibrating screen made of jelly. It was very strange, but it also made him inexplicably excited. After a magazine of bullets, Charlotte quickly rolled down from Tang Yuyin's body. "Let's go." Tang Yuyin also got up from the ground, and while shooting blindly, she muttered, "Wait until we get rid of those guys. I'll settle the score with you slowly." Charlotte smiled bitterly and plunged into the forest. Bang, bang, bang. The bullets from behind hit the trees, some branches were broken, and some trunks were smashed into pieces. Sharp wooden thorns flew randomly in the forest. These wooden thorns pierced Charlotte and Tang Yuyin's bodies, and they felt a burning pain. The two did not dare to stay, and quickly left the edge of the forest and ran into the depths of the forest. I just heard someone shouting in Japanese. Tang Yuyin looked surprised. How could it be Japanese? Charlotte also heard it, and he even guessed the identity of the leader wearing a monk's robe. That person should be related to the Hattori family, and his face was somewhat similar to Hattori Masao. This was probably the reason why he had a familiar feeling when he first saw the young man's face. How dare the Japanese make a move on us in this place? What is their purpose? Tang Yuyin needed an answer. Their goal should be me. Charlotte said, "It's you? How is that possible? Since when did you provoke the Japanese?" Tang Yuyin suddenly remembered something. Is it because of the mission you and Long Bing went to Japan last time? Charlotte was worried about how to explain the grudge between him and the Hattori family. Her words saved him the trouble of explaining. So he said, "Yes, I guess that's the reason. They're asking for it." Tang Yuyin said hatefully, and her eyes were filled with murderous intent. The most dangerous time had passed, and this forest would become the new battlefield. Charlotte ran up the hill, and he needed a sniping point. Once he found it, none of the 8 gunmen would be able to escape his sniping. As he ran, he was also thinking about a question. Is Hattori Masao so bold? He dares to send so many gunmen to deal with me? Moreover, he attracted the attention of Innings 101 in advance. Isn't he afraid that the matter will be exposed and cause a military conflict? Looks like I need to leave one alive. Chapter 747. The forest wasn't quiet. As the wind blew, the grass and trees swayed and made rustling sounds. There were also the sounds of insects in the grass, which seemed to be warning the human intruders. On the hillside, 2 people, 2 XL 2500 sniper rifles blended into the rocks and grass. 2 gunshots at the same time. On the grass at the bottom of the hillside, 2 shooters fell to the ground at the same time. One was a sniper in disguise, and the other was an assaulter who rushed at the front. The former was killed by Charlotte, and the latter was killed by Tang Yuyan. The 2 cooperated very well. However, the difference in strength was revealed 1 second later. After firing the first shot, Charlotte didn't stop. The muzzle of the XL 2500 moved 1 centimeter to the side, and the second bullet flew out. Another shooter fell to the ground, and his head was blown off. Tang Yuyan was still locking onto the target through the sniper scope. She couldn't be like Charlotte, who didn't use the sniper scope to finish off the target. She had to use the sniper scope to lock onto the target. And the targets she needed to shoot were all highly trained, so the opponent wouldn't give her the chance to lock onto them. After leaving the 3 bodies, the people at the bottom of the hillside rushed into the forest. Someone fired blindly, and the bullets flew in the direction of Charlotte and Tang Yuyan. Most of the bullets flew over their heads, but there were still some bullets that hit the rocks beside them, and sparks flew. Let's go. Charlotte climbed up from his hiding spot, turned around, and climbed higher. Tang Yuyan also climbed up from her hiding spot and followed Charlotte to climb higher. She was very clear about Charlotte's plan, which was to use the range advantage of the XL 2500 sniper rifle and the terrain advantage to engage in guerrilla warfare and kill the opponent at 0 cost. Just now, how did you kill the second person? Moving quickly, Tang Yuyan asked the question in her heart. Just now, she actually didn't see the details of Charlotte's shot, but she saw through the sniper scope that Charlotte killed the 3rd target, and at that time, she still couldn't lock on her next target. Shoot. Otherwise, how are you going to kill that guy? Charlotte did not explain. Tang Yuyan pouted in dissatisfaction. She was a little unconvinced, but she knew very well in her heart that if all the snipers in the world were to compete, no one would be able to beat Charlotte. He was the strongest sniper in the world. After climbing for 50 meters, Charlotte stopped. He turned to look down the hill, but the thick trees blocked his view. He could not see anyone moving in the woods. Tang Yuyan had already entered sniping mode. She climbed onto a rock and used it to support her XL 2500 sniper rifle. She was still wearing the denim shorts that were so short that they only covered her, but she assumed a sniper's prone position. Her upper body was slightly raised, and her legs were separated at a 45-degree angle. This posture made her perky buttocks appear even more plump and round. The bottom of her hot pants stretched open because of this posture, revealing the black lace inside. There was no doubt that this was a very pleasing sniping posture. Charlotte could not help but reveal a bitter smile because he remembered what happened in the car before. In a narrow bedroom in the car, during that chaotic entanglement, not only did he untie her hot pants, but he also almost gave it to her. He knew very well what Tang Yuyan wanted, and he almost gave it to her. He was speechless at his self-control in that aspect. This time, let's compete and see who can kill the enemy first, Tang Yuyan said. She did not look back. Her left eye was pressed against the sniping scope, carefully searching for the target. What's there to compete about? Whoever kills the enemy first is a good thing, Charlotte said. He looked to his left and right, and then his eyes stopped on a willow tree. The willow tree was very big, and it was a left-handed willow that was unique to the Western Province. The trunk, which needed 2 people to hug it, twisted to the left, round and round. Its canopy was very dense, and the branches that formed the canopy were also very big, allowing a person to stand on it and do something. If I win, how about you accompany me to my hometown in Sichuan? Tang Yuyin said, You and I have known each other for so long, but you have not been to my hometown yet. How about it? Hey, why aren't you talking? She looked back and saw Charlotte climbing the tree. His movements were as agile as a monkey. Go to the Tang sect in Sichuan? This bet gave Charlotte a headache, let alone agree to it. Humph! Hiding from me again. Tang Yuyin retracted her gaze, her small mouth raised high. On the willow tree, Charlotte climbed to a branch that was just below the canopy. He was about 15 meters above the ground, and the willow tree was on a higher hillside, so he had at least a 30-meter drop in his field of vision. A height of 30 meters was almost 10 stories high. He looked down the hillside from this height, and a vast mountain forest was suddenly in his view. He quickly found his target, the leader wearing a monk's robe and a gunman walking in front of him. What surprised him was that the path of the leader wearing a monk's robe was almost perfect. He would never take more than 3 steps in a straight line, and the path he chose almost always had trees as his cover. Even if he appeared in the sniper's field of vision, the sniper who was aiming at him would not have enough time to shoot him before he changed his position. However, the perfect path of the leader wearing a monk's robe could only be used against snipers like Tang Yuyin. In Charlotte's eyes, it was completely useless. Charlotte placed the XL 2500 in his hand on the branch in front of him, and then tilted the gun. He quickly locked onto the sniper wearing a monk's robe, but the moment before he fired, he changed his mind and changed his target to the assaulter walking in front of him. Bang! A gunshot rang out. The person who fired the shot was not Charlotte, but Tang Yuyin. Just as Charlotte changed his target, Tang Yuyin had already fired and killed one of them. Charlotte also pulled the trigger after that. After the gunshot, the assaulter walking in front of the leader wearing a monk's robe fell to the ground. The leader wearing a monk's robe hid behind a large tree, and not a centimeter of his skin was exposed. I'll let you live a little longer, Charlotte said to himself. He spared the leader wearing a monk's robe, not because he did not want to kill him, but because he wanted to keep the most valuable person alive. Bang, 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 concentrated gunshots rang out in the mountain forest. After being attacked, the opponent determined the direction in which Charlotte and Tang Yuyin were and fired blindly. Instantly, bullets rained down, rocks and tree fragments flew everywhere. Charlotte jumped down from the tree. Tang Yuyin also hid behind a rock, waiting for the opponent to disappear. Boom! When Charlotte had just climbed to Tang Yuyin's side, a grenade exploded a few meters below the rock. The soil and rocks that were lifted by the grenade fell on the 2 of them, making them look like zombies who had just climbed out of the grave. After the explosion, the 2 of them got up almost at the same time and quickly ran to the top of the hill. Boom! Another grenade fell, and the rock that the 2 of them had just been hiding on was blown up. There are still 4 of them. As Charlotte ran, he said, The next time will be the end. You only need to kill 1 of them. Leave the other 2 to me. I'll take care of 1, you take care of the other 2, and the last one. Tang Yuyin suddenly understood. You want to keep 1 alive? Keep the guy in the monk's robe. Charlotte said, It's impossible for a regular Japanese soldier to have this kind of courage, and the possibility of them being Japanese agents or special forces is very small. I want to find out what their identities are. Well, let's do as you say. Tang Yuyin agreed with Charlotte's opinion. After a distance, the 2 of them stopped again. This time, Charlotte didn't climb the tree again, but lay down on a rock with Tang Yuyin. There were only 4 people left on the other side. As long as they entered their field of vision again, he and Tang Yuyin could take care of 2 of them at once. Without the advantage of numbers and firepower, he had reduced the opponent's threat level to a very low level. I won just now. Tang Yuyin leaned her elbow against Charlotte's waist. After this is over, you have to accompany me to my hometown. I didn't agree to bet with you. Charlotte said, I don't care. I want you to accompany me to my hometown. Tang Yuyin said in a spoiled manner. Charlotte had a headache. When he was about to find a reason to refuse, the sound of dogs barking suddenly came from the right side of the mountain. He looked towards the direction of the sound and suddenly saw many flashing lights. Those were tactical flashlights, and they were very strong. Tang Yuyin also heard the sudden barking. She looked over and also saw the flashing tactical flashlights. Those flashing lights danced in the forest, and the number was astonishing. Who is it? Tang Yuyin became nervous. Charlotte's left eye slightly twitched, and his left eye's vision quickly locked on the person running in the front. He clearly saw the person's clothes and face, and his expression became horrified at that moment. It's Indian soldiers. Tang Yuyin suddenly frowned. How is it possible? This is our territory. How can there be Indian soldiers here? This is our territory, but those Indian soldiers don't think so, Charlotte said in a deep voice. You forgot that this is the southern border of Xi province, and India has occupied more than 90,000 square kilometers of our territory. They most likely have a military camp nearby, and our gunfire might have attracted them. Damn, how many of them are there? Tang Yuyin also observed, but she couldn't count them clearly. At least 50. We have to get out of here. Charlotte didn't dare to stay here any longer. He climbed up from the rock and climbed toward the top of the mountain. Going down the mountain was the best way to get rid of the Indian soldiers, but there were 4 gunmen up and down. Once they were entangled and caught in a crossfire, he and Tang Yuyin would be surrounded by the pursuing Indian soldiers and fall into a dangerous situation. Moving horizontally wasn't the best choice because the enemy had more people and powerful firepower. He and Tang Yuyin simply couldn't fight against them, even if their marksmanship was godlike. The only choice left was to continue moving toward the top of the mountain. Only by taking advantage of the terrain and continuing the guerrilla warfare method, just now would they have a chance to escape. The hillside's terrain was getting steeper, the vegetation was getting thinner, and the wind was getting stronger. The top of the mountain was covered with pure white snow, and Charlotte began to have a problem while running. Tang Yuyin only wore hot pants and a t-shirt, while he also wore a cool summer outfit. How could they withstand the cold on the top of the mountain? Woof, 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 the sound of military dogs barking came from behind. Charlotte and Tang Yuyin could get rid of the sight of humans, but they couldn't get rid of the military dogs' noses. It wouldn't take long for them to be caught, because even the Tang sect's Qinggong couldn't outrun the dogs on the steep mountain. Chapter 748. Without waiting for Charlotte and Tang Yuyin to climb to the top of the mountain, the 4 military dogs caught up. The 4 military dogs attacked Charlotte and Tang Yuyin almost at the same time. Roar! A military dog jumped up from the ground and opened its mouth to bite Tang Yuyin's throat. Another one pounced on her leg from the ground. The 2 dogs could also form such a tacit cooperation. One could imagine the precision of their training. Charlotte encountered a similar situation on his side. 2 military dogs. One maintained an attacking posture, and the other circled behind him. The 2 military dogs actually wanted to attack him from the front and back. Charlotte suddenly rushed forward and smashed the handle of his spear toward the military dog that maintained an attacking posture in front of him. But not waiting for him to deal with the military dog, Tang Yuyin's right hand waved twice, and the 2 military dogs that attacked her fell to the ground. Each military dog had a flying dagger in its forehead. Tang Yuyin turned around and waved her right hand again. Woo! The military dog behind Charlotte let out a sad cry and fell to the ground. Bang! Charlotte's spear handle caught up with the head of the military dog that dodged back and knocked it to the ground. Tang Yuyin clapped her hands. I finally have something better than you. Charlotte shrugged. In terms of throwing knife skills, how many people in this world can be the opponent of the direct descendant of the Tang sect? He always wanted to learn the real Qinggong and hidden weapon skills of the Tang sect, but he never had the chance. The 2 times he had secretly learned it, he had only learned the surface of it. This time when we return to my hometown in Shu, I will let my grandfather teach you. Charlotte, Tang Yuyin quickly pulled out the throwing knife from the dog's head and then inserted it into her belt. Charlotte also saw clearly that her throwing knife was like a willow leaf, very sharp, and the edge showed a blue and black color, obviously dipped in poison. Her belt was not simple either. It looked like an ordinary leather belt, but there was a hole in the middle of the belt which could hide a small flying knife. He had pulled off Tang Yuyin's hot pants, and it was tonight, but he actually didn't notice the mystery in the waistband, which made him feel ashamed. At that time, what was he thinking about? Woof, woof, woof. The barking came from the bottom of the hill again. Charlotte collected his thoughts and frowned. Damn it, is Hassan a dog-rearing professional? Why did you bring so many dogs? Tang Yuyin burst into laughter. So you also know how to swear. I really couldn't tell. Charlotte rolled his eyes at her. I used to work at a construction site. I've always been a bore. Did you only realize that now? Tang Yuyin rolled her eyes and said, Ha, 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 ha. Our youngest sister only likes you. Charlotte. Question mark. Huh. Do you think you're the only one who can swear? I can too. Tang Yuyin nudged Charlotte. Let's go. If we don't, Hassan will catch up. Charlotte followed Tang Yuyin and continued to climb to the top of the hill. He couldn't help but ponder over Tang Yuyin's swear just now. But it was the dialect of Sichuan, and he couldn't understand it. Tactical flashlights flickered at the bottom of the hill. Dozens of Indian soldiers had already rushed out of the forest on the mountainside, following the tracks left by the military dogs. However, this Indian army was not the only enemy of Charlotte and Tang Yuyin. In the forest on a mountainside, a young man in a monk's robe looked up at the top of the hill. He saw the flickering tactical flashlights and the angry howling of the military dogs. A sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. Father, didn't you always think that I'm useless? This time, I'm going to prove it to you. Although I'm the daughter of a maid, I'm the strongest person in the family. And only I'm the heir of the family, not that mixed-blood woman. His name was Hattori Tsukurin. He was Hattori Misao's illegitimate son, and my Hattori's younger half-brother. Charlotte speculated that he was related to the Hattori family, but he didn't expect him to be Hattori Misao's son. This kind of mistake was inevitable, because my Hattori's mother was American, and Hattori Tsukurin's face was that of an Asian man. Hattori Tsukurin walked out of the forest on the mountainside. 3 gunmen also walked out from the left and right sides. Hattori Misao waved his hand forward, and the 3 gunmen followed him and continued to advance toward the top of the hill. They didn't seem to be worried about the dozens of Indian soldiers armed to the teeth. Half an hour later, the temperature dropped drastically before they even climbed to the top of the hill. The cold wind howled, causing Xia Lei and Tang Yuyin's early autumn season to suddenly step into the frigid winter. There was a jacket in the 4450, but the problem was that the 2 of them didn't have the opportunity to bring it. It's so cold, shivering. Tang Yuyin shivered. Lei, are you sure you chose the right route? Shivering, it's cold before we even climb up the hill. Won't we freeze to death if we climb to the top of the hill? If we don't wait, those Indian soldiers will catch us, and we'll be frozen into popsicles. This is the only way we can get out of here. Charlotte said, there are a few Japanese guarding at the foot of the hill. If we go down, we'll definitely have to exchange fire with them. At that time, we'll be surrounded by enemies. If we move sideways, those Indian soldiers will be on a parallel line with us, with dozens of guns shooting blindly. Can you and I outrun the bullets? I don't want to leave my life to luck. Well, it's not a bad thing to die with you. Aren't you cold? Tang Yuyin crossed her arms and looked at Charlotte curiously. Only then did she realize that Charlotte, who was wearing similar clothes as her, was not affected by the sudden drop in temperature. He didn't shiver, and he didn't tremble when he spoke. What was even more strange was that his face still retained its previous rosy color. Charlotte was actually a little strange. This was the first time he suddenly came from a warm place to a cold place, but his body seemed to automatically adapt to this huge temperature difference. He didn't feel cold. He was very clear about his own situation. His hands and feet didn't show any signs of freezing. His heartbeat and his breathing didn't show any discomfort due to the huge change in temperature difference. And the most direct and obvious evidence was that his face and his palms were still warm. He carefully felt his body, and he quickly found the reason. The most fundamental reason why he was not affected by the cold temperature was the mysterious energy stored in his brain. It was flowing in his blood vessels like blood flow, protecting his organs and the normal operation of his body. After finding the reason, Charlotte's heart also calmed down, but he pretended to be very cold on the surface. How can I not be cold? Let's go climb over the top of the mountain. We go around the side. Okay. Tang Yuyin gritted her teeth and continued to climb up. Looking at her cold appearance, Charlotte really wanted to take off his shirt and even his pants for her. But if he did that, wouldn't Tang Yuyin look at him as a monster? Finally, they climbed up the mountain. Looking up, in front of them were white mountains one after another. This was a world of ice and snow. One couldn't see the end. Oh my God! Tang Yuyin sat down on the snowy ground in despair. The clothes that she and Xia Lei were wearing wouldn't last much longer. A person in such a cold environment, without cold clothes to resist the cold, will freeze in less than half an hour and then die. Charlotte couldn't care about anything else. He took off his shirt and then took off his pants. What are you doing? Tang Yuyin looked at Charlotte in surprise with only a pair of underwear. Charlotte threw the shirt and pants to Tang Yuyin. Put them on. No, don't you want her life? Tang Yuyin flatly refused. Put them on. Charlotte roared at her. Now it's up to me to make the decision. Whatever I say, you do it. Don't talk back. Tang Yuyin's tears rolled down from her eyes. In her opinion, Xia Lei had given her the last bit of clothing he had on him to keep her warm. Such a heartwarming thing. How could she not be moved? Tang Yuyin was still standing there. Charlotte rushed up and forcibly put the shirt on her body. Pants, I don't want it. Tang Yuyin recovered. Charlotte suddenly slapped her face. Put it on. This slap didn't have much strength, but it made Tang Yuyin stunned. Since she was a child, she had never been hit by anyone, but now Charlotte gave her a slap. But after being slapped, her heart didn't have any anger. Instead, she was moved to tears and snot. If a man gave you all the clothes he had on him in a world of ice and snow, and you refused to wear them, he slapped you on the face and forced you to wear them, could you blame him for slapping you? Tang Yuyin bit her lips, put on Charlotte's pants, and said while crying, If you die, I don't want to live anymore. We won't die. Believe me. Come with me. Charlotte ran to a cliff made of rocks. Just as Tang Yuyin put on his pants, he found a concave place under the cliff. It was a gap between two rocks, which formed a space that could accommodate him and Tang Yuyin to hide. Under the cliff, Charlotte let Tang Yuyin go in first, and then he went in. The cliff and the rocks blocked the cold wind, so Tang Yuyin's situation was better, but she was still shivering. Charlotte hugged her, using his body to keep her warm. How come you're still so warm? Tang Yuyin was surprised. The unique skill of Wing Chun. Charlotte thought of a name, Tongzi Sun Warming Technique. Tongzi? Tang Yuyin's expression was even more horrified. You are actually a Tongzi? Charlotte wanted to slap himself. Why did he have to add the prefix Tongzi to the name of the Nigong technique? If he was a Tongzi, would Longbing think so? Would Jiang Rui think so? Shinta Tianin, Liang Xiao. What would they think? Woof, 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 the military dog suddenly barked. Damn it, even if I die, I will drag a few Hindustanis down with me. The military dog's barking diverted Tang Yuyin's attention. She grabbed the Gale assault rifle and was about to climb out. Charlotte pressed her shoulder. You stay here. I will get you a dog fur coat. You want to kill a dog? Lend me a knife. Charlotte reached out to Tang Yuyin's waist. Tang Yuyin instinctively dodged, but it was just a symbolic action. When Charlotte's warm hand reached her waist, she suddenly quieted down and became as docile as a cat. Charlotte took a knife from her belt and then crawled out. When he was about to climb out of the cave, he looked back at Tang Yuyin. Those Indian soldiers caught up. Can we kill them? Kill. Who cares? If there's any trouble, I'll take care of it. Tang Yuyin said hatefully. Charlotte grinned. Then I know what to do. Chapter 749. The four military dogs collapsed on the snow. 3 of them had their throats slit by throwing knives, and one had its neck broken. It only took Charlotte 2 minutes to do this. The military dog whose neck he had broken was the food he had prepared for his escape. Tang Yuyan's throwing knives were coated with poison. If they were all killed by throwing knives, there would be no edible dog meat. After killing the 4 military dogs, Charlotte was not in a hurry to drag them back to the gap under the cliff. He stood on the edge of the cliff and looked down to observe the movement below. The military dogs had come up, so the Indian soldiers were almost there. At the bottom of the mountain, there was a flickering light from a tactical flashlight. The Indian soldiers had indeed caught up. Charlotte's gaze passed over the Indian soldiers and looked further away. However, he did not see any of the figures he wanted to see. Amanda, Pu Taiyong, Bagu, and Marcus were not there. Before coming to Shi province, Amanda had spoken to him on the phone. She said that she and the other 3 members of the Zodiac team were only half an hour's drive away from him and Tang Yuyan. Half an hour's drive was about 60 kilometers. If Amanda and the others were coming, they should have come a long time ago. Could it be that Amanda and Pu Taiyong are staying 50 or 60 kilometers away? If that's the case, they really don't know about the battle that happened here. However, the Japanese blocked the signal here, so Amanda can't locate me using my satellite phone. With her experience, doesn't she think it's strange? If Amanda and the others came when my signal disappeared, they should be here by now, right? Charlotte was very anxious. Previously, he had confidently told Tang Yuyan that he and she would not die here. His confidence came from Amanda and the other 3 members of the Zodiac team. They were all masters who could fight against 10 people alone. If these reinforcements appeared and attacked the Japanese and Indian soldiers on the mountain, he and Tang Yuyan could escape and even complete their revenge. But it was useless to be anxious. The members of the Zodiac team did not appear, and he and Tang Yuyan were still in a critical situation. But at this moment, 4 armed men entered his line of sight, and he was instantly stunned. The 4 armed men were not Amanda or Pu Taiyong, but the Japanese who had been chasing after him and Tang Yuyan. The 4 Japanese, led by a young man wearing a monk's robe, followed closely behind the Indian soldiers. The 2 sides climbed up the mountain together. Under normal circumstances, the 4 Japanese armed men should have avoided the Indian soldiers. But the situation in front of them was that the Japanese armed men knew the existence of the Indian soldiers, and the Indian soldiers also knew the existence of the Japanese armed men. But the 2 sides were at peace. Not only did they not exchange fire, but they also climbed to the top of the mountain together. There was only one possibility for this to happen, that is, the Japanese and the Indian army that suddenly appeared here colluded. This was a meticulously arranged chain of events. In that instant, Charlotte's brain quickly sorted out everything that had happened. Some of the things that he didn't understand and missed before were now clear. Someone had leaked this operation. Perhaps there really were terrorists who had sneaked into the country, but they had long been killed by the Japanese and replaced by the Japanese. The probability of this possibility existing was more than 80%, and the possibility of someone leaking the secret was 100%. Judging from the current situation, it wasn't just him and Tang Yuyan who were in danger. Even Avatar and Pu Taiyong were in danger. So who leaked the secret? Now was not the time to analyze who the traitor was and catch the traitor. Charlotte bypassed the cliff and quickly moved to the other side of the mountain. In the ice and snow, a group of white figures were moving in this direction. Although there was a distance of almost 500 meters and the wind and snow interfered with his vision, Charlotte still saw the white figures clearly. They were armed men wearing snow camouflage suits. There were white men and black men, and they were all equipped with sophisticated American equipment. CIA. Charlotte's heart fell into an icy valley. The Americans, Japanese, and Indians besieging this mountain was simply a United Nations army. The truth suddenly emerged. The cooperation between the Japanese and the Americans was completely an extension of the cooperation between Gu Qian and Hattori Masao, but the location was changed from Paris to this mountain. As for the Indian army would never dare to brazenly attack China's agents, especially in such a sensitive geographical location. They wouldn't dare. The corruption of the Indian army was world famous. As long as they could afford it, it was not difficult to bribe an Indian garrison stationed in this area. From the moment he and Tang Yuyin were attacked, the other party wanted to drive him and Tang Yuyin to this mountain, and then drive him to the top step by step. Now, the Indians, Americans, and Japanese had surrounded this mountain. He and Tang Yuyin were already in a desperate situation with no way out. Charlotte raised his gun, his left eye locked on an armed man wearing snow camouflage suits, and then he pulled the trigger. Bang! The dull gunshot broke the silence on the mountaintop. In his line of sight, an armed man wearing snow camouflage suits fell to the ground, but this time he didn't kill the other party. After being shot, the other party could still roll and hide behind a rock. The wind behind the mountain was too strong, and it also carried snowflakes. Although he had calculated the wind speed and the impact of the low temperature on the bullets, the wind behind the mountain was almost blowing randomly. It was impossible to calculate an accurate result. However, after injuring one of the other party, the armed men wearing snow camouflage suits didn't dare to rush forward and quickly hid behind the rocks. Someone fired back, but the bullets couldn't reach Charlotte at all. After only one shot, Charlotte gave up and turned to leave. He and Tang Yuyin carried limited ammunition. From the beginning of the battle until now, the two of them had very little ammunition. If he couldn't shoot one at a time, he would rather not shoot. Charlotte dragged the 4 military dogs to the bottom of the cliff. Tang Yuyin wanted to climb out of the crack in the rock, but Charlotte stopped her. "I just heard you shoot. Are the Indians coming up?" Tang Yuyin asked. Although she was wearing the shirt and pants that Charlotte had taken off for her, it wasn't enough. She was still shivering in the cold, and her tongue was stiff when she spoke. She hugged her arms, and the color of her skin turned blue and purple. It was the effect of the slowed blood flow. In this case, her brain and her body organs didn't get enough nutrients and oxygen. She couldn't hold on for long, let alone fight side by side with Charlotte. Xiaolei felt a little sad when he saw her like this, and he also felt a little guilty. Although she was the one who brought him on this operation, whether it was the Japanese or the Americans, the other party's target was him, not her. If it weren't for him, she would only have to deal with a few poorly equipped terrorists in this operation, and her 7 men wouldn't have died. I asked you, you shiver." Before she could finish her sentence, Tang Yuyin shivered again. Charlotte didn't know if he should tell her the truth. This mountain was surrounded by the Americans, Indians, and Japanese. He and she were in a desperate situation. After hesitating for a moment, Charlotte said, "Yuyin, no matter what happens, don't come out, okay?" Tang Yuyin was stunned for a moment. What do you mean? Can't we get out of here?" "No, you'll be fine," Charlotte said. "You don't lie to me. I want to fight with you." Tang Yuyin crawled out. Charlotte suddenly slammed his palm on her carotid artery. Tang Yuyin let out a muffled groan and fainted. Charlotte took the clip and ammunition from her gun, then dragged the 4 military dogs into the gap between the rocks. He used a throwing knife to cut open the dogs' stomachs and covered her body with their internal organs. Finally, he moved a few stones to block the entrance of the gap. "Their target is me. This is my battle. It has nothing to do with you. You shouldn't die here," Charlotte said, but Tang Yuyin couldn't hear him anymore. In Tang Yuyin's situation, she couldn't fight with him at all. Instead of letting her waste ammunition on the front line, or even die, it was better to hide her and give her a chance to survive. After hiding Tang Yuyin, Charlotte left the cliff. What he needed to do now was to choose a sniping point and kill as many enemies as possible while he still had the advantage of the terrain. The more he killed, the less pressure he would have. As soon as the idea of sniping the Americans behind him came up, Charlotte rejected it. He had just fired a shot, and it would be difficult to kill the target. Those Americans could be elite Special Forces soldiers, or they could be elite CIB agents. No matter how he looked at it, they were stronger than the Indian soldiers. The difficulty of fighting them was much more difficult than fighting the Indian soldiers. In addition, the wind in front of the mountain was much weaker, and the impact on the bullet's trajectory was far less than behind the mountain. With this analysis, he quickly made a decision to start with the Indians. Charlotte lay down on a rock that overlooked a large area in front of the mountain and then extended the XL 2500 sniper rifle. He quickly locked onto an Indian soldier and pulled the trigger. The Indian soldier was knocked to the ground by the sniper rifle's bullet the moment the gunshot sounded. There was a fist-sized hole in his chest. The Indians who were climbing to the top of the mountain suddenly lied. They obviously didn't expect the people on the top of the mountain to dare to shoot at their people in this situation. Some people cursed, and some people fired at the top of the mountain. However, the Indian-made Ince's assault rifle they used was an assault rifle that was modeled after the AK-47, but its performance was extremely poor. The bullets fired from the Ince's assault rifle were blown by the wind on the top of the mountain, and almost all of them deviated from the trajectory. Therefore, they used a barrage of suppressive fire, but the bullets that could hit Charlotte were pitiful, let alone hurt Charlotte. "This is Indian territory. I order you to surrender," a man who looked like an officer shouted in English. Bang! As soon as the Indian officer's voice fell, a bullet opened his head and flew away with a piece of skull and a mass of brain matter. The Indian officer fell to the ground. His eyes were wide open, and he died with a grievance. "Don't mention here. Even if it was in New Delhi, I would still kill you." Charlotte spat. Bang, bang, bang. Da-da-da. There was another burst of gunfire at the top of the mountain, and bullets flew to the top of the mountain like raindrops. A dark shadow quietly sneaked to the front line, and he hid behind a rock. After a short pause, he stuck the grenade launcher in his hand out of the top of the rock, then carefully stood up, adjusted the grenade launcher's angle, and prepared to launch the grenade at Charlotte. Are the Japanese best at sneak attacks? Charlotte pulled the trigger. Puff. The Japanese armed man who was about to launch the grenade fell to the ground. He only stuck out half of his head, but that was also the half of his head that he lost. Chapter 750. There was only one man and one gun on the hilltop, but for the Indian army, it was an insurmountable moat. No matter who stuck their head out and who rushed forward, what awaited them was a fatal bullet. The man on the hilltop was a god of marksmanship, which was beyond the scope of what the Indian soldiers could accept. After a wave of attacks, and leaving behind more than 10 bodies, no one dared to stick their heads out again. "Charge!" Hattori Tsukihito crawled to the side of the Indian officer commanding the border patrol and shouted at him in English. "What are you waiting for? He doesn't have many bullets. Are you Indian soldiers so afraid of death?" B*****. The Indian officer was furious. "Why don't you and your men charge? We've already lost more than 10 people, and you still dare to send my men to their deaths. Don't forget, I paid you. That money is enough for you to live the rest of your life in luxury." At the mention of money, the Indian officer suddenly became discouraged. He had received money to eliminate disasters. If he and his adjutant hadn't received money from this Japanese, why would he be here? He originally thought it was just a simple military operation and no one would die. He didn't expect such an outcome. More than 10 of his men had been killed, and such a thing couldn't be hidden. Once the military investigated, he wouldn't be able to enjoy it even if he had money. "If you want to go, then go with your men. D***M, I took your money, but you didn't say it was such a powerful opponent." Hattori Tsukihito moved to raise his gun. "Don't move," a guard beside the Indian officer shouted. Hattori Tsukihito lowered his gun. "If you and your men attack and help me capture that person, I will give you another $1 million. With this money, you can leave India and live somewhere else." The Indian officer hesitated. $2 million. Hattori Tsukihito's lips curled into a sneer. "You're very greedy, but deal." The Indian officer gave the order. "Charge! He's out of bullets. Whoever kills him, I will give $100,000. The rest, I will give $500,000. $100,000 was undoubtedly an astronomical figure for a soldier at the bottom of the hierarchy in India. What's more, even if he didn't kill the man on the top of the mountain, he could still share the $500,000 with others. It was a fortune either way. Riches came with risks, and the officer said that the people on the top of the mountain had no more bullets. The Indian soldiers who were hiding launched another charge. Bang! A gunshot rang out from the hilltop. An Indian soldier who had just rushed out of cover was shot in the head and fell to the ground. It was a gruesome death. The Indian soldiers, who had just boosted their morale, showed signs of depression again. Although wealth was tempting, they had to be alive to enjoy it. Everyone only had one life. Facing death, no matter who it was, would feel afraid. Bang! While Charlotte was shooting the Indian soldiers, a Japanese gunman fired a grenade at the top of the mountain. Rumble! The grenade exploded near Charlotte's sniping point, setting off a cloud of fire, gravel, and dust. Charge! The Indian officer roared. Da-da-da! Bang, bang, bang. The Indian soldiers rushed madly to the top of the hill. The Indian soldiers who initiated the charge fired as they ran, suppressing Charlotte with firepower. This time it seemed to work. The sniper on the top of the hill didn't shoot at the target below. The Indian soldiers quickly approached the highest area of the hill. In the eyes of these Indian soldiers, there was not only the cliff, but also the bundles of US dollars. Success. At the bottom of the hill, a Japanese gunman said to Hattori Tsukihito. He was the man who used the grenade launcher to almost injure Charlotte. You two go up. Don't let the Indians kill him. I want him alive, Hattori Tsukihito said. The Japanese gunman who spoke gestured to his companion and then walked out from behind the rock cover. But the moment he stepped out of the rock, a bullet flew over, piercing his left eye and exiting the back of his head. He didn't even feel the feeling of death before he died. The other gunman suddenly turned pale and subconsciously threw himself to the rock cover that he had just created. Unfortunately, he was one step too late. If he had done this the moment his companion was shot, he would still have made it. But he only did it after his companion was shot and killed. He was shocked and stunned for a moment. His reaction was actually fast enough, but he still couldn't be faster than a bullet. Poof! The sound of a hot water bottle bursting came from his body, and then blood spurted out from his neck. Hattori Tsukihito's face was covered in blood before he fell to the ground. Hattori Tsukihito's face was pale, and he didn't dare to move behind the rock. His plan had been going smoothly so far, but he didn't expect the people he brought to die so tragically. The 12 family samurai were all wiped out in one battle. He had led the 12 family samurai on the battlefield in the Middle East for a whole year without any casualties. Not many people knew of the existence of the Moonblade Legion, but those who knew would be shocked. He also used the military force he built to fish in troubled waters in the Middle East and made a fortune from the war. But all the glory was erased tonight. He couldn't believe that with the strength of him and the 12 family samurai, plus the border patrol team of the Indian Mountain Division, they couldn't take down Charlotte. He removed the Barrett M8821 sniper rifle from his back. His anger and supremacy made him want to have a sniper fight with Xiaolei. But when he grabbed the M8821 sniper rifle in his hand and was about to do it, his eyes moved to the family samurai on the side. Looking at the family samurai who died with half his neck torn open, his courage suddenly disappeared. He looked at the watch on his wrist. Fu *K. Are the CIB going to wait for all the Indians to die and use up all of Charlotte's ammunition before catching him? Damn it. No one can renege on my loss. To catch someone like Charlotte, the safest way was to use up all of his ammunition. As long as he had a gun in his hand and there were bullets in the gun, then he was like the god of death. After 2 shots, there were no more shots on the mountaintop. Charlotte's bullets seemed to have been exhausted. He's out of bullets. Rush up and catch him. This time, even the Indian officer hiding behind the rock bunker rushed out and was ecstatic. The Indian soldiers at the bottom of the mountain roared wildly, pulled the trigger, and rushed to the top of the mountain. For the surviving Indian soldiers, they had undoubtedly survived the most difficult period, and the only thing left was to count the money. More than 30 Indian soldiers finally climbed to the top of the mountain and came to the place where Charlotte gathered them. There was a sniper rifle on the rock with an empty clip. Charlotte was indeed out of bullets, but there was no sign of him at the top of the mountain. Fu *K, what happened? Impossible. He must be hiding somewhere. Find him. There's blood there. He went there, he's injured. Catch him. A group of Indian soldiers found the place where Charlotte butchered the dog and saw the dog's blood spilled on the snow. Then they rushed to the cliff in ecstasy. There was still no one at the bottom of the cliff, and the dog's blood traces extended to the rock gap that Charlotte blocked with stones. "It's injured. He's hiding in the rock. Surround him," the Indian officer ordered his soldiers excitedly. A large group of Indian soldiers rushed to the rock gap. But at this moment, a person suddenly emerged from the snow behind them. A person, a gun, and a pair of underwear. Bang, bang, bang. The Gale assault rifle quickly spat out the shell, and bullets shot out from muzzle. One by one, the Indian soldiers fell down like wheat being cut. Their deaths were different, but there was a shocking uniformity. Although the person who fired at them was holding an assault rifle, each of them was shot in the head, and not a single one was shot. How terrifying was the coordination of the hands, eyes, and brain to achieve such a level of shooting with a gun. No one knew, because no one had ever done it before. But Charlotte did it. His brain, his left eye, and his hands were like a supercomputer commanding a super sophisticated robot to carry out precise work at the moment he fired the gun. It was efficient, accurate, and without the slightest error. Of course, the superior performance of the Gale assault rifle was also a very important reason why he was able to achieve such a level. If he was given an AK-47 with a strong recoil, or another assault rifle, even if his brain, his hands, and his eyes were powerful to an unbelievable degree, he would not be able to achieve such a level. However, there was still one person who slipped through the net, and it was the Indian officer. When Charlotte fired at him, there were no bullets from the muzzle. The Indian officer was scared to the point of peeing, but after Charlotte pulled the trigger, he was stunned for a moment, and then laughed. "You ran out of bullets? You killed them, and you saved me a lot of money. I really have to thank you, Neil." Charlotte suddenly waved his hand. "Neil!" The word Neil was uttered, and the Indian officer fell to the ground with his head up. There was a flying knife in his forehead. "I have to thank you, too. You replenished my ammunition," Charlotte said. He threw away the Gale assault rifle that had run out of ammunition in his hand and quickly walked to the pile of Indian soldiers' corpses. His timing was very good. When he got the weapons and ammunition of the Indian soldiers, the Americans behind the mountain should be arriving soon. This was also why he gave up on exchanging fire with the Americans and eliminated the Indians first. Although the Indian patrol team had a lot of people, their military training was very low, so it was not difficult to eliminate them. But once he chose to engage the Americans and used up his ammunition, he would be in a desperate situation where he would be attacked from two sides. Without bullets, there were only two outcomes for him in the end. Either he committed suicide or he was arrested. The poor quality of the Indian soldiers' weapons made Charlotte frown, but he really had nothing to be picky about. He randomly picked up a few assault rifles and a dozen magazines, then left the precipice and prepared to move to another position. There was still one Japanese that he had not killed, and that was a problem in the future, but he could not care about it now. But compared to the terrible situation just now, it was already a lot better. After crossing the precipice, in the blink of an eye, Charlotte suddenly pounced to the side. Chapter 751. Boom! A violent explosion exploded beside Charlotte. The blinding light, the deafening sound, and the shock wave of the explosion mixed together and swept towards Charlotte like a tidal wave. It was a stun grenade. However, what he saw was not only a stun grenade, but also 4 gunmen in white camouflage suits. He had calculated the time very accurately, and there was no mistake in his execution. However, the Indian soldiers were too incompetent. He had already stopped shooting, but the Indian soldiers were still dawdling and fearful, wasting some time before they rushed up. It was also during that time that the gunmen behind the mountain sped up their movements and sneaked up while he was exchanging fire with the Indian soldiers. Ha! A rope grenade flew towards Charlotte. The rope grenade opened up in the air and covered Charlotte. Charlotte rolled to avoid it, then stayed close to the ground and rolled back down the cliff. Tut, tut, tut. There was a row of bullet holes in the snow he had just rolled over. If he had been slightly slower, his lower limbs would have been hit. The gunmen who climbed up to the top of the mountain continued to shoot. They weren't shooting randomly, but with a sense of rhythm, suppressing Charlotte and not giving him a chance to fight back. These gunmen's military skills were obviously several levels higher than the Indian soldiers just now. Charlotte hid under the cliff and couldn't say anything. Just a few seconds ago, he still had a glimmer of hope that he could use the advantage of the terrain to suppress the Americans at the foot of the mountain. He had enough ammunition to do this. As long as he held on until dawn, he and Tang Yuyin would be able to escape. However, hope was beautiful, but reality was cruel. He only needed a minute or two to set up a defense, but the other party didn't even give him that time. The bullets hit the rocks and the ground, creating sparks and snowflakes. The four gunmen approached step by step. Desperate situation. He had to fight even in desperate situation. Charlotte approached the edge of the cliff, his left eye penetrating the edge of the rock. He saw the four gunmen in camouflage suits, 3 white and 1 black, all wearing night vision devices. He stuck a poor Indian assault rifle in his hand out the edge of the rock in front of him. Ding! A bullet hit the barrel of the Indian assault rifle, and the barrel instantly deformed. Charlotte quickly retracted his hand. His opponent had been suppressing him with firepower, and his marksmanship was godlike. He would not give him a chance to fight back. At that moment, more American gunmen reached the top of the mountain. Charlotte was in despair. He looked back at the gap between the rocks behind him. Although he had hidden Tang Yuyin in the gap, it was impossible to hide from these Americans. They would easily find her. The goal of the Americans was to become him. How would they treat Tang Yuyin? There was no need to think about the answer to this question, and that was death. The Americans would not give Tang Yuyin a chance to speak about this matter, and only the mouth of a dead person would not leak the secret. I promised you that I would take you out of here alive, but Charlotte's heart was filled with sorrow. He could still live for the time being. As long as he was alive, there was a glimmer of hope. But for Tang Yuyin, the time she had left in this world was getting shorter and shorter. There was no hope. He looked at the sky in despair. He was an atheist, but at that moment he actually began to hope that a god would come to save him and Tang Yuyin. However, when he looked up in despair, his eyes suddenly froze, and he did not even blink. A parachute appeared in the deep and dark sky. That is, Charlotte used his eyesight, and he quickly saw the face of the person under the parachute. It was the face of a girl. She had blonde hair and blue eyes. Her face was as delicate and beautiful as a porcelain doll's. She looked to be only 16 or 17 years old, or even younger. In a world of ice and snow, and in the middle of the night, a blonde girl parachuting? No matter from which angle he looked at it, it was very strange. But what made Xiaolei dumbfounded was that the blonde girl who jumped down was holding a wooden staff in her hand, wearing a pointed witch hat on her head, and wearing a black witch robe. The spring wind blew her hair, and the waist-length blonde hair danced in the wind under the pointed witch hat, like a golden wave. There was no expression on her face, and it was cold and serious. Her eyes were cold, sharp, and without a trace of emotion. Such an expression did not match her age at all. If the parachute on her body was replaced with a broom, she would bring the illusion of entering a fairy tale world. Charlotte was just praying for God to come down to save him and Tang Yuyin. In the blink of an eye, a witch appeared, and such a young witch. Who was kidding? The parachute took the blonde girl to the top of the mountain. According to her height and speed of descent, Charlotte quickly calculated the time she would land on the top of the mountain. She only needed 2 minutes to reach the top of the mountain. A big question mark appeared in Charlotte's head. Who is she? The blonde girl in the parachute was obviously not an extreme sports enthusiast who happened to pass by here. In this world, there were no extreme sports enthusiasts who dressed as witches. But why did she land on this mountain? She was an extreme sports enthusiast who was dressed like this. She was here for this place and what was happening here. Charlotte suddenly thought of a person, but he was not sure. At this time, a woman's voice suddenly came, Charlotte. This was the voice of Gu Qian. This voice was too familiar to Charlotte. Even if it turned into ashes, he would still recognize it. He was not surprised at Gu Qian's appearance. Gu Qian's voice had a hint of ridicule. Charlotte, aren't you very powerful? Aren't you very cunning? This time, let's see how you escape. Run away, run away. Ha ha ha. Well, you've caught me. I'll go with you, but I have a condition. I can go with you, but you have to let Tang Yin go. Charlotte looked up at the sky, and his heart suddenly jumped. The blonde girl who jumped out of the parachute disappeared. Was everything he saw just now just an illusion? You want to talk terms with me? Gu Qian's voice came. Do you think you still have the right to talk terms with me now? This was not a question. This was sarcasm. Charlotte threw out the Indian assault rifle that had its barrel bent and said, I only have this one condition. If you don't agree to me, then take my body back. Charlotte, do you really think that the CIB will still cherish your life as before when things have developed to this point? You have threatened their interests, and it is the interests of the country. They want to destroy the weapons you are researching in your Thunder Horse military factory. They gave me two options. One is alive, one is dead. Since we are old acquaintances, I will give you a chance to choose. If you want to surrender, then get out here immediately. If you want to die, then die quickly. As soon as her voice fell, dozens of CIB agents and elite special forces surrounded the precipice. Then their guns locked down every inch of space that Charlotte might appear. No matter how fast Charlotte was, as long as he appeared, they could immediately subdue him. There was not much time left for Charlotte. Did the CIB or the UA higher-ups really give him these two options? This was something that could not be judged, and Xiaolei did not dare to gamble, because he was gambling on nothing but his own life. Loneliness, despair, anger, these negative emotions surged in his mind. Charlotte looked at the sky with grief and indignation. He longed to see the blonde girl in silver armor, because she at least brought him a glimmer of hope. However, the sky was dark, and there was still no trace of the girl. At this time, he really suspected that what he just saw was fake, just an illusion. But how could there be such a realistic illusion? Charlotte, you have nowhere to run. Face the reality. If you cooperate, I can give Tang Yin a quick death. If you resist, I have a large group of thirsty men around me. I think you know what I mean. Gu Qian's voice. His thoughts were suddenly pulled back, and Gu Qian's words ignited his anger. That kind of thing was dirty even thinking about, let alone letting Tang Yin endure that kind of humiliation. Gu Qian, you and I have a grudge, and you came to me for revenge. I don't blame you, I admit it. But if you dare to do that to Tang Yin, even if I don't kill you, the Tang family will not forgive you. Ha! Gu Qian laughed very happily. I'm so scared. Please don't scare me. Okay? Charlotte, you like her, right? What a coincidence. The more you like something, the more I want to destroy it. I will give you 3 seconds to get out of here immediately. For every second you delay, there will be one more person to ruin Tang Yin. I also want you to watch from the side. Watch how my men play with your beloved woman. Charlotte's eyes were terrifyingly cold. He had never wanted to kill a person as much as he did now, and his hatred for Gu Qian had reached its peak. At this time, if someone gave him a chance to kill Gu Qian, he was willing to exchange all his assets for it. 1. Gu Qian really began to count. But at this moment, the alloy pendant on Charlotte's neck suddenly floated up and trembled slightly. Xiaolei was stunned on the spot. His alloy pendant had also appeared in the underground labyrinth in Italy, when he was looking at the starry sky painting. After that, Princess Yongmei appeared, and then the painting disappeared. Now, this happened again. Could it be? He suddenly remembered the woman who called him, and then he subconsciously looked at the sky. 2. Gu Qian's voice. She was not in a hurry. She seemed to want to experience the process of torturing Charlotte. The alloy pendant fell down. During the process of floating and falling, Charlotte seemed to feel a kind of resonance, a very mysterious resonance, just like the first time he felt the resonance between him and the ancient alloy. He grabbed the alloy pendant in his hand, and he seemed to be sure of something. 3. Gu Qian's voice. It seems that you have made up your mind. Tang Yin will enjoy it, ha-ha. Charlotte walked out of his hiding place. There was no fear on his face, only calmness. As soon as Charlotte appeared, more than 30 guns were pointed at Charlotte. Gu Qian appeared from the crowd, but she did not dare to approach Charlotte. She stopped in a very safe position and looked at Charlotte with a mocking gaze. Charlotte, I have waited for this day for a long time. You win. Let go of Tang Yuyan, and I will go with you, Charlotte said. As he spoke, he quickly scanned the surrounding area with the corner of his eyes. However, he saw nothing. You were late for 1 second, and you'll have to pay the price. Gu Qian waved her hand and said in English, 2 of you go and bring me that be *TSH. You can do whatever you want to her. Don't you dare. Charlotte charged at Gu Qian. Bang bang. A CIB agent fired 2 shots at the ground in front of Charlotte. A CIB agent next to him smashed the butt of his gun on Charlotte's leg. Charlotte's leg bent a little, but he did not kneel. You have guts, Gu Qian said with a smile. I've always admired your backbone, but when you see a group of men playing with your beloved woman, will you still have the same backbone as now? 2 CIB agents went around Charlotte and walked down the cliff. One of the 2 CIB agents wore thermal night vision equipment. He only looked in the direction of the cliff before walking to where Tang Yuyan was hiding. The alloy pendant on Charlotte's neck suddenly vibrated slightly again, but it only vibrated, and this time it did not float. However, the feeling of resonance was stronger than before. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.